got custody. I just saw this guy who I believe he's a rich entrepreneur, business guy. He said in a video, it was one of those quickie YouTube shorts. I'm probably going to download it and show it and put it into a short. But he said, don't wish for easier paths. Wish for better discernment. Don't wish for lesser hardships. Wish for better skills. Don't wish for things to be easier. Wish for more courage. That's how we need to be in family court. The average feminine man in society says, oh, I just wish it would go away. I wish it wasn't so hard. And I wish my baby's mom would get along. All these I wish. You sound like R. Kelly. Just have to grow some balls and go to war. And it's 100 times easier than it was when I did it. So you could do it. So the people out here whining and crying and pissing and moaning, when you're talking to me or on my page, I've already done it. In 2001, I got full custody of my daughter without an attorney. I was a warehouse worker who flunked out of college. And I got full custody of my daughter at age 7 months. I'm a white male who got a biracial girl, got full custody. Because even though I didn't know what I was doing, I did exactly what works and what's worked for thousands of people before me and thousands of people after. And people don't like my message because my message is you have to grow some balls and actually fight against a corrupt system. If you love your kids enough, you'll go to war for them and set aside and sacrifice your life for the next year and focus on stuff like that. The average guy doesn't want to do that because most men are soft. And it was easy for you to make kids, and you want it to be easy to get your kids back from the crazy woman that you had sex with because you were desperate, lonely, thirsty, couldn't find anybody else, ignored the red flags that she was suicidal. She got 2 different previous babies' dads that aren't in the picture. And you didn't say, I wonder if she had something to do with that. I wonder if there's something wrong with her. Let me go rescue her. Anyway, I want to talk about this crazy epidemic or problem when guys say, but the children need their mother. And, whoa, that zooms in really fast. I talked to a dad today, and he had an appointment with me, but he changed the appointment. I've had a couple of no-shows this week. I had to get up early on little sleep. These guys were no-shows. One guy said he forgot about his appointment. So when somebody tells me I forgot about the consultation I was going to have with you to help me rescue my life with my kids, that tells me a dad doesn't give a shit about his kids. If you have a heart disease and you have an appointment with a doctor to possibly consider surgery to fix it, and you forgot about your appointment, there's something wrong with you. Somebody's asking, what was your main argument in court? All of them. I didn't have a main argument. The ways that I've won in court. Now, if you're talking about a particular hearing, like fighting off a restraining order, fighting off contempt, even then I had multiple arguments. I just did a video on TikTok. I'm going to post it on YouTube when I get settled in and download it and stuff. But this is a long, drawn-out war, so you got to have a long-term war strategy. Just like you have a game plan for football, and at halftime, your stuff isn't working, you make adjustments and you change your game plan again. But I didn't have one particular argument. I had what the law said. I had a little bit understanding of the Constitution. I had, look at these pictures of me in the hospital. Look at this financial support I provided. Look at me how I'm setting aside my life. Look at me, I'm working at night, so I'm available for the child during the day. I'm revolving my life around the child. The answer to what was my main argument was the main way that you win a war is to overwhelm the enemy from all kinds of different angles with all kinds of weapons. The way that you win a football game is your blockers are in on the game plan. Your running game is on point. Everybody's playing together as a unit. It's not like one play that wins a game unless it's 0-0 and there's a kickoff return with 5 seconds left in the game. That's a freak unique situation. You have to pound away for the entire war, the entire game, the entire battle. So there's multiple things that I use. That's why when people tell me, what evidence do you bring to court? I say all of it. Pictures, text messages, email, scientific data and study, the law, case law, higher court precedent, common sense, a story that tugs at the judge's heart, witness declarations. You want all of it. And then you want to use common sense the way you carry yourself and act out, you know, okay, so somebody said, so that should answer that. Self-representation is looked at as ignorance, and if you're an attorney representing yourself, the system is rigged. Yeah, we know that. And who gives a shit what it looks like to somebody? Who gives a shit what somebody thinks? You're going to court and you're arguing the law in a court of law, and most of these things where people say, hey, it's an uphill. I just had somebody on TikTok say, you know, how do you fight against the system when the odds are stacked against you? You grow some balls and you put extra effort into it. Just like I said at the beginning of this video, there's this entrepreneur who's rich. He says, don't wish and pray for an easier battle, pray for greater strength. Don't wish for, you know, obstacles to be moved out of the way, wish for more wisdom. So the answer to combat this enemy against us is to be bigger, badder, and stronger. So if people are never getting a consult with me, you have no chance of winning because you're not learning all the stuff that worked for me and thousands of other people. Unless Judge Anthony is telling you that at $750 an hour, or your attorneys. But I guarantee, like the person who made that comment, no, somebody else made it. The attorneys don't help you. So you don't want to look to the system to help the system that's rigged. That's like looking to a mafia guy to help you with better business practices. They're not doing honest, above board business practices. They're cheating, lying, stealing. So you don't want to go to the crooks to get some advice. But the answer is learn everything that you need to know. If you don't know everything you need to know, get a consult with me or study every single bit. If you can't afford a consult, then maybe don't get Starbucks for a few weeks and make your kids more important than your Starbucks, and then save some money and learn stuff in an hour and a half that would take you months on your own to figure out. But if you don't want to do that, like, you don't have to do it. If you want to take months to do something that'll take an hour and a half for a few $20 bills with me, we'll go over the precise. I've never had a first consult with somebody and the person knew everything that they needed to know. The vast majority of people are lost and they have no direction. And if you have all these different let's say you're in let's say you're in Omaha, Nebraska, in the middle of the country, and you need to get to Minneapolis. There's one way. You got to go north. Let's say you don't have a map, you don't know anybody, don't know anything, but you know you need to get to Minneapolis. You could go anywhere of 360 degrees. If you are not going that straight shot there, if you're just 1 degree off, by the time you get up there, you can end up in North Dakota, New York, or something like that. So if just by getting some precise direction, you could be in the right direction and save yourself hours and time and pain and suffering. And a lot of time, this is a time-sensitive thing because the mother's going to court to try and screw you over or get a restraining order or set you up. And people wait and watch my videos for months and months and months and months and listen to attorneys. And attorney screws them over. And I tell them they're better off learning how to represent themselves the right way. And then they get another attorney and they get screwed. They get another attorney and they call me and said, James, I'm on 2 hours of supervised visitation for the past 8 months and I've missed my visits and this and that. Why didn't you get help with me before, even when you had an attorney? You want to learn everything that you need to know. If you don't know everything, if you have a kid with a disability, if you have a kid with spina bifida, you don't just go to the doctor and have them treat the spina bifida and then go home and don't know jack shit about spina bifida. You have to live with that child. You have to, in family court, you have to live with the decisions of court. And if you still have trial coming up or whatever, you have to live and carry yourself in a way that will look good in court. So you need to know everything that you need to know as far as the law, case law, the court rules, the perception of the court when it comes to how they see certain things. You know, we don't care about people's stupid opinions, but there is some things that you do have to, that you can't impress the court with. And the law, case law, the court rules, evidence rules, you know, how to authenticate evidence, all kinds of stuff like that. Okay, so the same person is saying Colorado courts don't care about any of that, honestly. Okay, then don't listen to me, dude. I've had thousands of people win in court doing what I'm telling them to do. You went into court and probably did the loser route that guys always do to lose. And you're telling me the system doesn't care. Why are you telling me after I won in court and helped thousands of people win in court that the system is bad and we should all lose because of it? Thousands of guys who fight the right way go into court and win. And you're stuck on your loser case and your loser situation and your loser strategy. How about you stop doing the loser route that has caused you to lose and do something different and stop whining and pissing and crying about the system? I'm not here to talk to people for hours and hours about how bad the system is. We already know that shit. What do you want to talk about next? The sky is blue? Do you want to talk about that for 10 hours? Or do you want to learn how to try and do something different to rescue your kids? Because guys who sit there and whine and cry and piss and moan and sit on their ass and all they do is ever whine and cry about the system, you're not doing jack shit to help win. If I lost in court and there's this guy over here that won in court, or let's say I want to be a great baseball player and I strike out every time and every once in a while I hit a foul ball. And there's this guy on the team, he's really good. And he goes to a batting cage 5 hours a day. I would go up to him and say, what is it you're doing? Because what I'm doing sucks. I wouldn't go to him and say, I don't understand how you hit the ball. I suck, I miss, I swing, I strike out. These pitchers are too tough to deal with. Well, whine, cry, cry, cry. Why don't you go to the person who won and do what they're doing? Damn, bunch of just crybaby, whining, pissing, moaning little bitches. So you're talking about Colorado, then Nevada. It's never a good idea to represent yourself. You stupid, dumbass fucktard. I represented myself and got full custody. It's dumbass, stupid-ass, piss, bitch-made, crybaby, bitching and moaning, punk-ass simp bitches like you who lost in court. And because you lost, you're so hopeless because you're too much of a dumbass to look for help when you were in court. You did the loser route and you lost. I've helped thousands of guys win in court, so you can just F off and shut the F up. I'm done talking to a punk-ass bitch-made loser who just wants to cry like a little bitch. So, okay, so somebody is saying, I'm overwhelmed. The other side, truth always comes out. She's violating a court order. Okay, do contempt. She forfeited 5 weeks of summer parenting time because she works. Me and my fam's too so. Taking her to court for contempt. Okay, second time. And she has a warning on already. Good. That's usually what happens. The first time they give a warning. So that's really good. Congratulations, you did the right thing. As soon as you do somebody's in contempt, you go and get them in trouble for contempt. If somebody steals your car or breaks into your house and you don't call the cops and they do it again, and you're sitting there, man, I wish they would stop doing this. Man, I wish they would just leave me alone. Why do they keep breaking into my house? Because your punk ass won't call the cops and get them thrown in jail. This guy did the right thing. He did a contempt and she got a warning. Now you go to court and make the proper arguments. I have videos on the proper arguments that you need to compel the court to enforce their orders and jam them in a corner. Now that punk ass bitch who was crying earlier, I bet you he didn't do a contempt. I bet you he didn't argue like I'm about to tell you arguing. Put the court in a corner. Tell them these are your court orders. Why does the court exist if you have to enforce it? I have a whole argument on contempt that I usually use that I think it's in a video. If you go onto my YouTube channel and you type in the search bar and you say, type in contempt, there's like 4 or 5 different videos on contempt. But you want to make them feel stupid if they don't enforce their own. Why do you even exist if you're not going to enforce your orders? I need you to coerce compliance with the order. The order is in the child's best interest. You ordered, this is what's best for the child. The mother's not doing it. The mother's disregarding the best interest of the child and flipping you off. Enforce your order. And then you need to learn some case law because usually case law helps people win on contempt. Case law is the nail in the coffin. If you don't know how to look up case law, I got one video on it or get a consult with me. But that's good that you're doing contempt. Oh, you said you won the contempt. I just don't agree your way is a good approach. What, like me winning contempt? That's not a good approach. I defended against contempt when the mother tried to do it against me, and I won contempt. I fought off bogus restraining orders. I got a restraining order against a chick I dated, and she tried to retaliate and get domestic violence protection orders against me. I won those. I won in the Court of Appeals. I don't know what your approach is. It's just my opinion. Don't be so hurt. I'm not hurt. What are you talking about? Don't be so hurt. Oh, this is the other guy who said that he won. So you're sitting here telling people not to fight, and then you won in court. Dude, get your freaking message straight, okay? Sitting here half-assing your, oh, guys can't win in court, the court sucks, and the court system is rigged, and then I tell you stop whining, pissing, and moaning, and you say you won. What the hell are you doing on my page? I don't know what the hell is wrong with my gender. We parents are responsible for facilitating and encourage the other parent relationship. No excuses. If you're busy, then make the accommodation. Yeah, so what is contempt? If that's somebody who's following or on this page, contempt, the definition of contempt is a willful violation of a valid court order without reasonable excuse. If the other person has an excuse, like let's say you withhold the kids from your baby's mom because the mom's new boyfriend's a child molester, and she said, hey, he withheld the child for me for a week. Yeah, that's because your child molesting boyfriend was staying that out of your house. I don't want my kids molested. That's not contempt because you have a reasonable excuse. There's elements to it. Oops, I just skimmed through it. Man, this thing, you barely touch it and it scrolls and skips a bunch of stuff. Hopefully I'm not missing anybody who's asking a legitimate question. Because there's a couple people asking legitimate questions. Always willing to pay for your time. You're worth it. Thank you. Damn, bro, you know what? You know what you're talking You know what you're talking about. I would check out law on your channel. Case law on your channel. I have one video about how to look up case law where I walk through looking up case law. It's real quick. It's not a big thorough breakdown that you might get on a consult with me, but dads need a voice. You're stepping up. You know, there used to be a good dozen fathers' rights groups across the country that were legitimate. There's the best one actually used to be in Vegas. They had a staff of about 20 people. I don't know if they were volunteers or paid staff, but the guy who ran it, there was one woman who worked there, and they had a sign where they had no women allowed. And that woman actually was a pro-father woman who was like the secretary of the office. And she said, we don't let women in here. Because I came in there with my daughter, and because she was a baby, they let her in. But they're in there helping guys write up their paperwork and all this other stuff. They sold that office or that firm to a pro-father's rights attorney, and that guy doesn't help fathers like he promised he would and keep the legacy alive. There's Dads Against Discrimination. Go, their website is still up. You guys can go if you don't believe me. That's who first helped me out. Dads Against Discrimination. Oh my God, what's their website? dadsamerica.org. It has they have 8 chapters on the website in different states: Alaska, New Jersey, Washington, Oregon. The guys in Oregon who ran it went cuckoo and senile. One guy is on this roof waiting for the aliens to come, and another guy just got old. And I used to volunteer for them, and I said, reached out to them and said, the guy who ran the Washington chapter handed the keys to me, and I used to answer you guys' phone calls. Why don't you change the website to my phone number, my current number, or divert people to me? And he said, do you want to pass a law that kids automatically go to custody of the father? I said, well, I don't know if that'll work. Then they're like, F you, mother effer. And I was actually part of the group and helping out. And then there's the fathers' rights movement groups and all the other pansies that are out there now that aren't doing jack squat. Anyway, there used to be a bunch of them. I don't know anybody else who's helping anybody except me. There's a guy from New York on YouTube. He shows himself typing. I don't think he ever shows his face. He shows himself doing paperwork. It's some Father X or something. I think he got custody. He seems legit. A lot of people are saying that. Lady command the courtroom. Everybody else, I think, is a hustler. Judge Anthony will tell some stuff that's true, but I think he's a little bit of a hustler. A DV case against her too. No contact order. Somebody got a DV case against their ex. She keeps lying. She's not in the house. I was talking to a guy earlier. His baby's mom got an emergency restraining order against him, set him up, scared the crap out of him. His attorney said, you better agree to what she's saying. He agreed to restraints and that he could have every other weekend and half the summer. And he agreed to it because he was scared that she would win a 5-year protection order with her and the kid on it. So he got bullied into that. But what do you think, based off of that, just you guys who are watching or watch this later, what do you think his best argument in court is from now on? The baby's mom said, oh, he's dangerous to the child, domestic violence, I need a restraining order. And then she goes to him and said, okay, I'll drop the restraining order on the child, and we have restraints with each other. You can have him half the summer, but if you don't want to agree with me, then I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to go for a 5-year protection order. So he agreed to that. So from here on out, that guy has a great argument that the mother came to court saying I'm abusive toward the child and swore under oath that was the case. And then she agreed for me to have the child 50-50 this summer. She doesn't believe her own allegations. She's coming to court and lying. And then you couple that with all the information that's out there about women lying in court. I have a packet in my store, Defense Against Protection Order, that talks about it. I have quotes from like 12 different attorneys across the country, documentaries, bar associations saying women lie all the time. And then this woman lied to the face of the court because she said on paper the father's dangerous. She got an emergency order, and then she turns around and gives him the kid half the time. Sometimes your best argument in court is basic common sense. And the guy that I was talking to, he couldn't, I asked him, I quizzed him, like, what do you think your best argument given everything you told me? He couldn't even think of it. Now, he had one good argument that he said, but he's not thinking hard enough. Some of this stuff is straight right in front of you guys' faces. One thing I want to talk about, that's the title of the video, is all these dads that say, well, my children need their mom. There's a guy who called me. He wanted a console, he moved it around, and then he's texted me all day long wanting extra free time above the console. And he's another guy who wanted 30 minutes, and he needs to learn 5 hours worth of information. So he came in passively like a softie from the beginning. And he set up an appointment and paid, but I had to cancel it because he kept telling me, the mother moved all the way across the country. I think he was in the Midwest, and she moved out to Washington. This dude said, he said he's going to get the kids for like the last end of the summer. And then he wants to fight jurisdiction and keep it in his state. He has zero chance of doing that. So this dumbass thinks that he's going to give the kid back to the mother and she's not going to get jurisdiction where she's at. And from what I remember him telling me, he said, what if I move up there to Washington? Can we share the kids 50-50? She said no. He said, what if I move to Portland? She said, you better not move to Portland. So then he said he's going to move to Arizona. So this guy is being a total slave bitch. And he's doing whatever the mother orders him to do. And she took the kids away from him. Now, after the nurturing ages, where parents are equally important, fathers are more important because they protect children. Fathers are better at keeping kids safe. We're bigger and stronger. Fathers create discipline, structure that a lot of single mothers don't. The single mother experiment has been an utter failure. And this guy said, I'm not going to keep my kids from the mom. I want to do the right thing. I'm in the military. I want to win brownie points with the Boy Scouts of America and get a ribbon. He doesn't give a shit about warfare tactics and common sense. And I said, why wouldn't you keep the kids from the mother? She's a child abuser. He goes, well, the children need their mother. So they need a child abusing mother? What if the mother is molesting them and stabbing them? You know what the children actually need? Now think very carefully about this. I should mark this point, 25 minutes. What the children really need is a married family with both parents in the home. Are you going to give that to the mother now that you're broken up? You can't. That's what they actually need. And simp, bitch-made fathers and cowardly men who shit on their own self-image and don't care enough about their kids will say, oh, well, they need their mother. And I said, dude, she's withholding the children. She's talking shit to you. She's telling you you can't move closer. And she's ordering you to stay away from your own kids that are equally yours. She's a child abuser and an alienator. Why do your kids need to be around a child abusing mother? And he said, because they miss their mom. I'm not making this bullshit punk ass bitch stuff up. The best thing that dad could do to help his custody case is not send the kids back to their child abusing mother when he has them the rest of the summer. But he said, it's above me or that's below me or something like that for me to do that to my kids. He goes, one day they'll know I did the right thing. That's utter bullshit too, because if she brainwashes them and alienates them, they're going to hate your guts. And you're not going to be able to undo that. But see, when guys say, oh, I don't want to take them from their mom, they need their mother, that's a pussy-ass bitch excuse to not fight for their kids. Your kids need you. The mother doesn't want to share, and she was so selfish, she moved across the country, so she should not be rewarded with her child-abusing move. If you're the peaceful one, when you get control of the kids, you can let them go see the mother. Like, let's say the mother gets 2 weeks, you get custody, the mother gets 2 weeks during the summer. You can let her have them all summer. But guess what? When your punk ass goes to court and dilly-dallies around, this guy is asking, like, how can I get 50-50 in Washington when I live in another state? This is how stupid this retarded idiot was. And I don't think it was stupid as much as it was bitch-made cowardice. And he said he was in the military. His kids were being alienated from him, and he said they need their mother. And they miss their mother. Do you know that kids miss candy? Do you give them candy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Do you base everything you do for your 10-year-old or 12-year-old, whatever age those kids were, based upon their feelings? Who's the grown-up here? I didn't want to, that guy kept talking to me about that stuff, and he's texting me above and beyond outside of our call, like the average guy does. About 50% of you will set a consult with me, then send me a million pages of bullshit to read when I could just get to the questions with a Q&A and get some yes or no answers right away, and we can get right to the answers. Or you're a no-show like a lot of these guys, and then guys get mad that I ask them to pay up front to make sure that it's not going to be a no-show, because I don't want to get up at 7 in the morning off of 2 hours of sleep and not be able to get back to sleep and mess with my health because your lazy ass doesn't care about your kids. I only want guys who actually care, because guys who don't care can't do the stuff like grow some balls and fight for their kids and get on the offensive and go to war. They're going to cry and piss and moan like that Ricardo guy saying the system sucks and the system's scary and guys shouldn't represent themselves. Even though I'm the guy in this video, me right here, I've won in the Court of Appeals, Superior Court, District Court. I've won restraining orders, fought off restraining orders, won contempt, fought contempt. When you come into my page and you say some bitch-ass stupid lie because you're only talking about your one loser experience, you're a narcissist and you got no self-awareness. If you're somebody who's seeking answers, you will shut the F up and learn or listen and question and say, well, how the hell did you win in court? Nobody ever wins in court. And I'll say, look, I fought this way. And they're like, okay. But somebody wants to keep fighting me in the comments and saying you can't win, you can't represent yourself because they lost and they want everybody else to be a loser because they don't want to confront themselves like, damn, you were being a bitch. It's time for you to man up and go rescue your kids like only a real man would. Guys love making excuses. And this whole other subject I'm talking about, well, the children need their mother. I don't want to take them from their mother. They're going to take the kids from some parent. Why not be the mother? Children who live in single custodial father homes do just as well as married intact families. The single mother experiment is a failure. Most mothers are not created to lead a family. We are the leader, they're the helpmate. We are Batman, they are Robin. We are Tom Brady, they're the offensive lineman. We're the captain of the ship, they're the deckhand. We work great together in our own lane, in our own roles. And when we do it right together, it's a beautiful thing. When we don't, like 90% of modern relationships, like, you know, I had a kid out of wedlock. That's out of order. I can see all you punk ass bitches who can't own your shit on here. I will say, I'll be the first one to say, I was a dumbass to have a kid with this crazy baby mama. I had a nice run for 2 decades of dating women. Some of them I'm still friends with and cool with. Some of them still like to take my daughter and spend some time with her because they built a rapport with her and they love her to death. And then I had a screw up where I got suckered by a chick who was playing games and stuff like that. I had to get a restraining order against her. I'll be the first one to say I was a dumbass on that. Why can't you just admit it? Now, you don't have to go out of your way to admit it, But if you're doing the polar opposite, like, James, you're full of shit, you hurt my feelings, how can you talk bad about my case? I tried. You tried wrong. If you tried to lose weight by burning 500 calories a day and you ate 5,000 calories, even though you tried wrong. You have to change what you're doing, dumbass. The guy on TikTok who said, how do we even fight when the system's against us? The system is up here, you're down here. The system is pro-mother, and you got the system coming down on you. You have to match their energy. You have to do what's worked for other people. But see, that guy wasn't looking for answers. He was looking for bitch coddling. So many guys want to feel affirmed and vindicated. And, what's the word? A friend of mine even said, a female friend I was talking to about this, she said, well, all those guys that want to call and have you coddle them in their misery, they want to feel a sense of, God, what was her word? It was something about affirmation stuff. Dude, you went to court and you lost. You did it wrong or the court screwed you. Try again. I've been to fathers' rights movement meetings where there are guys in there saying, I got screwed. Did you try a reconsideration? Did you try an appeal? Did you appeal from a commissioner to a judge? Did you do a motion to vacate to undo that bad order? Did you do contempt when she violated? Yeah, I did it one time. Okay, you haven't seen your kid in a year. Do it again. And one guy that said that, he just shut down because he wanted to bitch, whine, and cry and moan, and he quit on his kids after one hearing. Bitch ass, fruity gay boy, coward, punk ass bitch. That's my gender. I'm sitting here with proof that what I did works. And there's testimonies in the comments. Just about every video, there's somebody in there that said, hey, I talked to James and I learned so much, or I did what James said, and maybe he sounds like an asshole in his videos, but I consulted with him and we went over stuff and did what he said and it worked, or whatever. Because what works is what works. It's not even about me or James's technique. I stumbled across the technique. If where you live, everybody grows up eating McDonald's for lunch and dinner, and everybody in your community has heart disease, and then you go outside of your area and you go to an organic market with fresh food and you start eating just fruits and vegetables and you walk out without heart disease, it's not your invention that helped you. You stumbled across it, and I stumbled across it. And the reason why none of you guys have any excuses, because I was confronted with the same chance to make the same bitch ass crybaby excuses you guys are making. It was hard. I cried myself to sleep sometimes. I didn't get to see my daughter when she lived 3 blocks away for 40 days straight. She's right over there, practically an arm's length from me. I could walk over there to her house in 4 minutes. She was so close, but so far. It was the most tormenting thing in my life. But you know what? I had nothing better to do in my life than to fight for my kid, because I'm not a bitch ass coward. And I was a beta male most of my life. And when it was time to go to war to fight for my kid against people who I thought were friends and family and were in my community, we went to the same church. We would go, we were involved in a lot of the same activities. We were around each other all the time. Right out of college, a group of us, we would go to Mariners games together, Red Robin, and have an outing. And, we'd have barbecues, and we were just around each other all the time. It was like a big family. And then a bunch of them turned against me. That was some crazy Judas betrayal stuff. But I made up my mind, if I lost the whole world and I gained my daughter, I don't give a shit about anybody else. And I'm going to go to war with them, and I'm going to offend them and hurt their feelings, and I'm going to confront a judge saying, you have to honor my constitutional right. And I knew this much information, and I won in court because I kept at it. The first 5 times I went to court, or 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. It wasn't until the 5th time that it took me 2.5 months to get court order visitation. Most of you cowards out there will quit after the first try. Just like the last Fathers' Rights Movement meeting I went to was about 8 years ago, maybe 10. This guy got up and said, I haven't seen my kid in a year. I'm like, what? And he's all there trying to change the laws and put all this time and energy in changing the system. But he won't even do a second contempt motion? Like, there's a guy in here, right here. He said, I did a contempt. She got a warning. I'm doing it again. That's the type. And I don't know if I've ever talked to that guy again, that guy before. So this guy had some balls to get on the offensive and do something about it. Then I have a talk with a guy yesterday or the day before, yesterday, I think. He says, well, the kids need their mother. So I'm going to dance around and I'm going to cater to the kidnapper. Instead of going in on a rescue mission and yank my kids away and place them with the better parent, the father, the safer parent, the father, the parent that has better statistics and data, the father, I'm going to let the kids go with the mother where they're more at risk for, and especially, I think he had at least one boy if they weren't both boys, because I think he was talking about, so he doesn't want his boys to grow up with a man. That's a bitch-ass, sellout, house slave, bullcrap, pathetic, bitch-made excuse to whine and cry and say, I don't want to fight. I'm just hoping that the mother, I'm hoping to win brownie points because I'm honoring the mother. So you got a narcissistic, alienating child abuser, and you're saying, I'm going to give the kids back to the child abuser, and I'm going to work around her. And the kids are going to know that I was nice while she's brainwashing them and raping their mind with toxic venom about the father, and they're going to have a sense that their father doesn't give a shit because he actually is acting like he doesn't give a shit. Now, if she let him come around 50-50, I'm sure that he would. But he'll only do that if it's easy. Since I'm telling him you got to fight and stand up and get on the offensive, and when you have the kids, you should take the kids. She took the kids from you, take them back. Oh, I won't lower myself to that. Okay, then lower yourself to being a loser. This whole they need their mom is bullshit. The children's feelings about their mom have no bearing on what's best for them in the end. All the statistics and data say children will automatically suffer and are automatically in danger when a father's not around. And this dad was saying, I'm not going to fight to make them be with me because that's not nice. So somebody committed a wrong against you and ripped them away. And just like these father's rights movement bitches, you're saying, I'm not going to lower myself to her stuff. That's like going to war and say, I'm not going to lower myself to the Taliban's tactics and shoot to kill. We're going to try and walk away and not kill anybody. That's some stupid, that's like going in a football game. I don't want to run that hard and hit anybody that hard because it might injure them. What the hell did you sign up for the football game to play football at all for in the first place? This guy is going to war over his kids and he says, I'm not going to engage in warfare tactics to rescue my kids. And even if he still wanted to be a simp-ass bitch, if he got custody, he could let the mother see the kids as much as he wants. Now, then he'll risk her modifying because they're deviating from his custody. But the best thing for his kids, if he's the reasonable person he said he is for him to have custody. And he doesn't even want to even think about that. He wanted some alternative. And then he kept covering his bitch ass and covering up what a pussy he is by saying, I want them to have their mother. They miss their mother. If the mother is a crackhead and she needs to go to rehab for 90 days, they'll miss the mother. But what's more important, the mother getting clean or your pussy bitch ass catering to the mother's feelings and saying, I want to see my kids while I'm rehab. They can't go in there. I could go on and look at it. That's a pussy ass bitch approach. And guys will automatically trigger themselves to say this immediately. They'll call me up and say, you know, I really think the kids are better off with me, but I'm not trying to take the kids from the mom. Dear God, don't strike me down with lightning. They're so quick to defend the mother and say, I've committed blasphemy by saying I want custody of 50. I don't want to take the kids away from the mother. Why do you have that bitch ass disposition? Why do you automatically think she's totally stealing the kids from you, want you to have zero visitation or supervised visits or be an every other weekend visitor? She wants you to have less time than her parents, her sisters and brothers, the uncles and aunts. The mother wants you to have less time than the school has with the kid or kids. And you're sitting there saying, oh, I don't want to take the kids away from the mother. Please don't talk bad about me. People will call me a father's rights advocate and say, oh, I don't want to take the kids away from the mom. Because we watch TV all day that tells us that fathers suck. Bart Simpson. Married with Children. They're all couch potato bums. Even the Cosby Show. Even though Bill Cosby on the show is a doctor and Claire Huxtable is a lawyer, and they're both equally intellectuals, when it comes time for a controversy, just watch. If you ever watch a Cosby Show and there's a controversy, she looks down at him like, and then he'll tug his shit, okay, dear, whatever. The mother takes charge when it's a time of controversy. We get inundated with these thoughts all the time, so we automatically I'm not trying to take the kids away from the mother. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't commit blasphemy. The mother is the second-hand person. When Tom Brady said, hey, do you guys... Would Tom Brady, the quarterback, go into the huddle and say, hey, you guys, you got any suggestions for plays? Like, I don't want to offend anybody here and call a play that you don't like. Tom Brady is the mother effer in charge of the Patriots when he was with the Patriots. He's the one in charge. Everybody better get in line and assimilate. Now, The linemen are very important and crucial to the cause, but they're not the leader. They're not the one who calls the shots. If everybody gets in line and works as a team under his leadership, they succeed. If the family gets in line under the father and under his leadership, they succeed. And your punk bitch ass wants the mother to be in charge of the family? That's backwards. You want the queen to be in charge of the kingdom and the king to submit to the queen? That's never happened in history until the feminist movement a couple hundred years ago. We turned into a bunch of punk, mark, bitch, sissy, thong-wearing, coward, fruity gay boys. I don't want to take the kids away from the mom. More than nurturing. The nurturing only lasts a couple years. When a kid is getting bullied in school, who would you rather run to help you stand up to the bully or toughen your son up to confront the bully? The mom or the dad? If your kid is a basketball player and he misses 2 free throws at the end of the game and they lose the game, he could have tied it, put in overtime or won, and he feels depressed and humiliated, mom will come and cry and hug him. Dad might do the same and hold him, and then the next month he will be taking your son to the gym and making him shoot 500 free throws and scream in his ear and chant so he's prepared for the next time. Men help children overcome. They build esteem. They build confidence. They build an identity in a way the mother cannot. That's a fact. Now, I know some good single mothers who've had to tough it out because they had those 5% of cases where the dad was a bum-ass bitch and coward and wasn't even around. But 90% of dads are pushed out by the mothers, and we just take it up the ass like a bunch of bitches. And then when we say we want to rescue the kids from the mother's toxicity, we want the mother to have custody, and we just want her to stop. When you have somebody who kidnaps kids or traffics kids, think about Ariel Castro. If you guys don't know about Ariel Castro, Google Ariel, Ariel Castro. He was a guy in Ohio, had 3 women in his basement for 10 years. He raped them. He got one pregnant. And just like this bitch-ass dad, they had Stockholm Syndrome. They said later when they got interviewed that they felt bad for him. They saw his humanity and what a loser he was. And everybody, who ends up being a child molester or rapist or something, at some point in life, they were a pure and innocent kid until they got raped or did something crazy and they became a monster. So you get to see their humanity, but you don't dismiss all the evil deeds that they did. And so some of you guys got Stockholm Syndrome with your baby's mom or the wife who's been punking you and henpecking you and had you whipped the whole time. So when it comes to you rescuing your kids and you taking charge, instead of being like Simba in The Lion King and growing a pair and going back and taking your rightful place in that family, in the kingdom, you act like Simba the bitch who went out into the oasis and is hanging out with the wrong animals. Now, what did Simba do before? Now, this is a cartoon, and some people think this is corny or cartoonish for me to give an example like this. Simba had a confrontation with his dad in the clouds, and he said, remember who you are. We even know in Hollywood, with all the perverts and psychos and weirdos and child molesters that are in Hollywood, they know human nature. They had a scene where the father, Mufasa, gave male affirmation to Simba and said, it's time to go back to your calling, go fight. And it was a family member, Scar, who was betraying him. And when Scar was in charge of the kingdom was desolate and there was no food and everybody was suffering and it was darker and dreary there. Same thing with your family. When a mother takes over the family and takes the leadership, CEO, captain of the ship role, it's miserable. All the statistics go up of kids who are school shooters, drug addicts, all that other stuff. Now, there's tragedies that happen in intact families. But the rate of it goes up exponentially in a broken family when the single mother is running the show. Because most of these single mothers just want child support, money, and control. And they don't even care about the kids. I've told the story when I was in a mall in my hometown. I've seen all kinds of women fall. When I have my daughter play in the play areas, you have a play area with a couch around it. And there's one that we had in the mall right next to Target, was the closest department store. Right outside of Target, big opening in Target, like 20 yards wide, about, 15 feet high. There's these couches in a circle and a big train with a slide that the kids played on. I was paranoid when my daughter went to the other side and not see her if there was a crowd of people. So I kept my eye on her. I saw this little dude who was about 1.5 years old, looked like he just started walking, walk out of the area. It's a circle couch and there's a play area. This little boy walked out of the area, and I'm looking around and nobody's going to get this kid. And he's walking toward Target, and right in Target are the clothing racks. If he gets lost in there and there's some child trafficker looking to snatch a kid, that kid was easy picking. So I got up and walked and grabbed him because nobody else did. And I bring him back, and this fat, greasy, ugly, white trash, trailer trash looking bitch, I said, is this yours? Is this yours? Is this yours? And this lady goes, oh, that's our kid. And I said, he was walking over to Target. And she goes, oh. And she turns to her daughter. That was the fat ass white trash grandmother. Looks to her daughter and says, oh, he was going to Target. Like, she didn't say, oh my God, thank you. Like, I didn't care about that, but there's no sense of urgency or protection because women are not natural protectors. We see stuff that they don't. We see stuff down the road. They react emotionally. Now, I know some good single mothers who are protective of their kids. But for the most part, we have our roles and we have our gifts and we have our strengths and stuff like that. And your kids need a dad after age 2. They need a dad in the home full time. And if you're saying, but the mother, they need the mother, so I'll defer to the mother and surrender to the mother, you're a bitch-ass, fruity, gay boy coward who doesn't want to fight for your kid. So I don't want to talk to you. Okay, so that's my main point with that. Let me get off of that. Somebody said the child gets Stockholm as well, and fathers get tricked into thinking the way they assist is giving them back to mom. Nope. You got to think of this. You're in a broken family. The best thing for the children is a married, intact family, husband and wife, mother, father, secure, stable, loving home. That's what, if you can't give them that, it's all chaotic. So you don't get to say, well, let me cater to the mother who's seizing the moment to take control in this broken situation. We need to restore the family as best as possible. And the closest thing to that is 50-50. If the mother, and that's not even safe for kids because the father needs to be in the home full time, according to the science and data. Have you guys looked up all the science and data that I give you free links to on my flow page? If not, then you're being a lazy ass. Now, if some of you are new and don't know about it, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the lazy asses who I have all kinds of free links and information that can be helpful in your case, and you don't even look at it. And we got a bitch named Ricardo on here. I bet you he didn't look at jack shit on my page, and he's whining and crying about the system, and he's never learned how to fight the system. He says he's in Colorado. There's family court facilitators in every courthouse there. He had a chance to learn 100 times more than what I knew when I got full custody. And he's up here still bitching, talking to somebody who won. That's like going to a Michael Jordan camp and saying, I want to be a Division I basketball player. I'm only good enough to sit on the bench of my high school freshman team. What can I do to get good enough to be a Division I player? And Michael starts talking. He says, well, first of all, you got to do some dribbling drills an hour a day. You got to take 500 shots. I went out and took some shots, and it's cold and it's rainy sometimes, and I can't get outside, and they don't let me in the gym, and whine, piss, whine. Michael Jordan would say, shut the F up. You asked a question. If you don't want the answer, get the hell out of my camp. I'll refund your money. Get your bitch ass out of here. People get mad at me because I'm telling them the truth. If you want to fight for your kid, that's all we need. It doesn't matter where you're. I just did a video. If you're lost, don't know anything, the English is your second language, you struggle on writing or anything like that, no matter where you're at, we can go from there if you want to fight. And we don't have a bashing session about what you did wrong. We let me talk and say, where do you go? What's happened? What's your court orders? Where are you at right now? Okay, let's go do this. And if you don't want to do it, then we're wasting time. If you do want to do it, I'm your best advocate out here for cheap, way cheaper than the family law corner. That lady's $250 an hour, and she had to spend $100,000 to get full custody in a pro mother court system. So she doesn't know jack shit except the basics, from what I could tell. Judge Anthony, $750 an hour. He used to be a judge who probably screwed over guys, and now he's sitting there saying the system is corrupt and it's crazy. Why doesn't he do something about it? So he's a bitch-ass sellout as far as I'm concerned. That's great that he's helping people, but why isn't he doing something about the system? Because he doesn't care. All he cares about is making money. I'm out here protesting and doing stuff to change judges' rulings. There's nobody in the world out there protesting like I'm protesting. And bitch-asses come on my page complaining about what I'm not doing or whatever. I'm sitting here tolerating dumbasses saying they want to talk and meet with me, and they only need 30 minutes to learn how to learn the law. If you want to get a driver's license, do you take 30 minutes of driver's ed, or do you take a course for a whole semester in high school? If you want to learn how to do a transmission overhaul, do you talk to somebody at a transmission place for 30 minutes, or you use some hands-on training? We're such stupid, retarded dumbasses that we think every other principle in life doesn't apply in family court because we're bitch-ass cowards who want it easy. We need to stop that stupid-ass shit. And I call it like it is because that's the root of the problem. And when I get consecutive calls where guys are like, I'm ready to fight, let's go, James, and let's go. And then it goes back to now almost every call is a bitch-ass coward. I want the mom to win, and I want to win, but I want to kiss the mom's ass because I'm a sucker little simp bitch with a slave mentality, and I hate myself, and I don't care enough about the kids to fight for them to have a father. Then I'm going to call the shit out because that's the root of the problem. And bitch asses like this Ricardo guy. Oh, the system is like this, the system is like that. Did you get a consult with me? No. Did you do anything that I said in any of my videos? No. Then you took the loser route and lost, and you're complaining you lost doing a loser MO. Look at this. I got a woman saying, I love your information. So if a woman says that, as harsh as I sound, and I'm not scaring a, and all my women clients, they always listen to me. It's the bitch ass dads who want to fight me and say, I want to stick to my loser ways. I want the court to cater to, I don't want to have to put a lot of effort and fight the system. I want to do it easy. If Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or Mother Teresa or anybody, or Gandhi or anybody fighting for a cause wanted the easy way of doing it, there would be no causes that have been fought for. Everybody in the history of the world, every single group or category of people had to fight for something somewhere along the way. How come your bitch diva ass doesn't have to do it? Who the hell are you? Why do you think you're better than everybody else who's been discriminated against, you little bitch? It's time for men to grow some balls. The child, okay, I answer that. I hear crickets. Are you talking about 90% of dads are simps? That may be true, but you know, guys who are, I would say, because 90% of cases, guys just surrender. 95% of any court case settles out of court, and guys almost always surrender because they're beat down. But if the lawyers talk to them like I do, like we can fight and let's go for it, then the guys might be encouraged, but they need extra help. Once they get that extra help, you know, maybe about a third of them want to do something. About 10% of people who've ever seen my videos reach out to me. So they want to do something. But of that 10%, only about half of them like set up a consult or do something. And then after that, it's only one time. Only about less than 1% of people actually do follow-ups, learn everything, apply it, and really want to fight. And it's never changed from that, and it never will. I don't have any hope. All these guys, these father's rights movements, they say, I really feel in my heart and soul and in my precious little feminine feelings that the system's going to change. Bitch, you went to one father's rights movement meeting, and you saw 5 other guys that felt the same way. That doesn't mean the system is changing, you dumbass. Open your eyes and look around. There's still 20 million single mothers and only 2 million single dads. We're outnumbered 10 to 1. For every 10 guys that get full custody, or 10 women, 1 guy gets full custody. And it's probably even more than that. That's the last time I checked, you know, over a decade ago. And guys just hopelessly sign off on stuff. See, I had attorneys tell me you'll only get every other weekend. I told them to F off and hung up on their face. And those were father's rights attorneys. So none of you guys have any excuse. If any of you have lost in court, some of you guys say in the comments, I wish I would have found you 3 years ago. You could have if you got off your ass and looked. But all you did was trust and believe attorneys. If somebody wants to sell me a car, a used car, and they say it runs perfectly fine, here's the keys, buy it. I want to take a test run. I want to look at the Carfax. It's not that I don't like you or don't particularly trust you. I just don't trust anybody, so I need affirmation. And why can't you show me the Carfax if you're telling me the truth? I follow that up. But we're such bitch-ass cowards when we go to family court because we're traumatized because the mom took the kids away. We feel paralyzed. So we don't even stand up to our attorney. You're paying your attorney $400 an hour, and you're their boss, and you're letting them punk you around like a bitch. And you won't even ask them, will you just get on the offensive? Well, it's really hard. What the hell are you doing being an attorney if you're afraid of hard work, bitch? I go out and sling crab pots. I go out and climb telephone poles and risk my life every day. I go and I clean up sewers. I'm a handyman. I work for Orkin. I go in and I risk getting stung by, black widows and scorpions and stuff, and I exterminate those things. I'm out there doing it for $40 an hour. You're $400 an hour and you can't lift a finger, you bitch ass coward. What the hell are you doing being an attorney? Wasn't law school hard? And so those attorneys are also bitches who don't want to confront the feminist system, just like in the Jim Crow South. A white attorney who's representing a black defendant will say, take a plea and take 20 years in prison. And then if you're a black man accused of raping a white woman, they'll say, I didn't do it. I wasn't even near her. I got all kinds of evidence. Well, you're going to get the chair because that judge is a grand wizard in the Ku Klux Klan, and 3 of those jury members are in the Klan. And I don't want the Klan coming after me, so I'm telling you to cop a plea. See, they give into the culture of the court, what everybody's thinking in court. And what everybody's thinking. I just did a video on YouTube where I showed you guys how a lawyer is up there talking about this lawyer from the central Washington area, the Tri-Cities in Washington, Yakima, Pasco, Kennewick, Walla Walla is in the southeast corner. He said, we had a conference and we were talking about what you need to do. Stop talking about yourself and your parental rights in court. Well, you have a right to do that under Troxel versus Granville. This guy lied and ignored the law and went on a video about what you should do in court. And he never once mentioned the law because he's going with the culture of the court. Just like in the Jim Crow South, there was a culture of the court. We used to throw Japanese in America during World War II. We used to throw Japanese citizens in concentration camps because we were worried that they're all spies. Citizens who have a right to due process. When Obama signed the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, in somewhere in between 2008 and 12, I think. Even Rachel Maddow from MSNBC, I remember seeing the video. She's a diehard Obama dick rider. And she said, what the hell is he talking about? They added to the NDAA, they renew it every 4 years or something like that. Or maybe it's every couple of years. They added to it that you could be thrown in prison in Guantanamo Bay if you're accused of being a terrorist. No lawyer, no due process, no jury. All you have to do is be accused of being a terrorist. And the terrorist list in America is defined as about everything under the sun. If you're out there protesting in front of the courts, you could be labeled a terrorist or defined as a terrorist. So they set it up where they can arrest any troublemaker that's standing up to all the elites and the corruption in the system. Obama promised to fundamentally transform America. That's because the people who've been the puppeteers behind presidents for decades were trying to gut our system and, fix it to follow the lead and control of the world bankers who have been swooping up country. That's why we went into Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan and Libya. We're trying to get them to submit to the World Bank leaders who pimp and control our politicians. If you don't believe that, do some research. If you got a problem with me saying that, F off, because that's the reality. So then you're not well read enough about what the hell is really going on. You got bankers who fund both sides of a war. They want wars to happen. I used to not want to believe it before, but the overwhelming evidence is obvious. So that being said, we have all kinds of unconstitutional stuff that goes on like that, an NDAA authorization in violation of due process, because the culture of the country has just allowed it and been laid back and like, oh, we got to get terrorists, we got to get terrorism, so we'll sign off laws that violate our constitutional rights, and then people just sign off on it because, well, politicians sign off on it because they're paid to by their oh my God, what is it called? The people who wine and dine them. Special interest folks. So just like that kind of stuff happens, or Japanese folks are interned into concentration camps against the Constitution. We did the Tuskegee experiment on black people. We screwed over Native Americans. We screwed over all kinds of different groups of people and stuff because the culture allowed it. We had Jim Crow laws when separate but equal is not equal. The culture had to change for that to change. So we're in a culture of anti-father courts. So how do you undo that? So that punk ass bitch Ricardo who's crying about the system, why don't you go into your courtroom and you unbrainwash them by using all the techniques that I'm talking about to unbrainwash them and talk about the law and case law and Charleston versus Granville and the science and have something that tugs at their heartstrings. I did it. Thousands of other guys have done it. Why don't you do it? If just 10% of guys in family court went in there and got on the offensive and talked about how valuable fathers are, and overwhelmed, the courts are overwhelmed with feminist doctrine right now, so they're brainwashing to think that. Just like the Jim Crow South was overwhelmed with racist KKK doctrine. So everybody who was in the court system was in the KKK or influenced by them. Everybody in the family court system is influenced by feminists. And bitch asses like this Ricardo dude, he refuses to go into court and counter their narrative. He refuses to stand up for himself. He just says, oh, the system is so bad, and he sits there silent like a little bitch and gets hung. If you go in there and say, you can't do this to the children. You have a duty of care, not just to the children, but to society, under the Code of Judicial Conduct, under the preamble, under your oath. That attorney has an oath to uphold the Constitution and the law, even against the opposing father. All the statistics and data say what's the best interest of the children. The law says the best interest of the children. If you're in California, Family Code 3020B, frequent and continuing contact. If you're in Florida, 63.133. We have to consider which parent facilitates a relationship and honors a relationship with the other parent. The mother's flunking that. I should get custody. Texas Family Code 153.001. Frequent and continuing contact again. Washington, RCW 26.09.002. And some of these I have linked for you guys to look at, and some of you don't even look at it. You're so lazy and you don't care enough about your kids to even look at free information. That's why you're on my page crying like a bitch about the system. You won't even look at free information that's a resource for you because you feel so overwhelmed and you feel so hopeless. And it's really one extreme or the other. You're either going to be a courageous hero and rescue your kids, or you're going to be a punk ass bitch. There's no middle ground here, because if you're half-assed or halfway a hero and you halfway fight and you halfway kind of sorta, you're not fighting the way you need to fight. If you half-ass it in a football game and jog, you will get your head taken off, bitch. If you half-ass it in a war and you don't crawl out of the jungle in Vietnam as fast as the other soldiers, you will get ambushed, or they'll find you, or you'll trail behind. You have to give 100% when it's time to give 100%. And you know I'm right, because I'm talking about sports analogies and business analogies and analogies about life. But when we come to family court, our bitch ass, little thong wearing, gay boy, everybody should love everybody and there shouldn't be any evil in the world. You think there should be a utopia, and we live in a nasty, cold, callous, evil world, and you think it's supposed to be wonderful in family court. And I'm not downplaying the fact that the family court system is corrupt and evil. In fact, I talk about it sometimes, but I don't want to talk about it all the time because I want to talk about solutions. God, what is that guy's name? There's this guy that does a bunch of seminars. He's a billionaire. I need to have his name down. If you don't like what I'm saying, go watch a David Goggins video or Google snake diet. Cole Robinson. These are some real men who are talking shit to losers who won't grow some balls and do something about their life choices or their failures. We turn into such... Women have emasculated men so much that we think the way out of our problems is to whine, cry, and bitch our way out. The way out is to go to war. I was dragged in court off and on for 20 years. So even after I had custody, I had to go through hell, and they treated me like shit. One time, I got thrown in jail for 8 days. I was arrested in front of my daughter. Why? Because there was a court hearing that I was never served notice of, and I didn't show up, so they issued a bench warrant. And then they arrested me for not showing up. The judge emailed me at an old email address. We hadn't been in court for like 7 or 8 months on my case. And he emailed me at an old email address, and I was supposed to just check that and know that. They were supposed to personally serve me the order to show cause, and they didn't. And I went to jail, and I stayed there for 8 days, and I had a dumbass attorney who was screwing up on some stuff. And I had to have an attorney then because I'm in jail. I can't do anything while I'm in jail. And I had some friends looking out for me. So I've been through hell for 20 years, and your punk-ass, bitch-made, fruity faggot little dumbass is crying because you lost one hearing and you're going to quit on your kid? You get the F out of my face with that bullshit. And then people will come on here and say, well, that's not no way to run a business. Get the fuck out. I don't give a shit. I've been doing this for 23 years. I've been helping guys volunteering with Dads Against Discrimination, the Other Parent, and a couple other groups. I've been part of the Fathers' Rights Movement groups and appeared there, but I realized what bitch-ass cowards they were, so I don't want anything to do with them. I'm doing just fine. And the day when guys continue to be no-shows and try and steal my time and turn into bitch-made little divas and say, I'm entitled to your free time, you shouldn't charge for your time, even though I spent $100,000 on an attorney. This is how stupid my gender is. They'll spend $10, $15, $20, $100,000 on an attorney. They'll say, I spent $100,000 on an attorney. I'm not going to spend $100 on you for an hour and a half. You lost in court with that attorney, and I've won in court over and over, and so have many of my clients. And your dumbass is saying you don't want to spend 0.001% of what you spent. That's how effed up my gender is. That's how backwards we are. Meanwhile, women are getting together, and women hate dealing with other women most of the time. But when it's a cause against men, they will band together and stick together. Our fruity gay ass can't stay together for more than, when I was at Fathers' Rights Movement meetings and stuff, you know, there'd be guys would show up once or twice and then disappear because it's too hard to do something in the movement. It's too much of their time. And their case is over and they quit like a bitch. And so since it's over, they want to just waltz on and do their own thing in life. And this is another thing that happened. I just talked to somebody who got screwed by a judge and then fixed it in the Court of Appeals and should be filing a complaint against that judge. And she still continues to whine, cry, piss and moan about the system. And I tell her, go file a complaint against that judge. It'll only take you 20 minutes, but she'll ramble on and write me in DMs and Facebook for hours. But she won't file a complaint. The system is corrupt because you punk ass bitches won't do anything about it. I'm doing all I can and more. If just 10 of you in each state did what I've been doing, we'd turn the system upside down. But we can't even find one of you guys to grow some balls and protest a couple times and put an actual case number on the sign and a judge's name so that they're embarrassed, and all the bailiffs and the judges at the courthouse will go look up that, oh my God, you gave custody to a mom with a sex offender boyfriend? What the hell is wrong with you? And they walk into court and everybody's looking at them funny. See, I've thought about this stuff. I haven't just whine, cried, piss and moan and quit like all you bitches out there. I'm actually thinking, like, how do we get people, how do we change their minds? We embarrass the people because, as you know, all this family court stuff is a secret, right? Nobody talks about it except all the victims. And then we go to rallies and we create Fathers' Rights Movement groups, and the only people who attend them are other victims. And the people who can do something about it, legislators, politicians, lawyers, they don't go to those groups. They think you guys are nuts. And you never go out. Like, Fathers' Rights groups will hold up a sign and say, honk if you love dads. Dads are people too. And it's not and the judges are laughing at you. But when I go up and say, Judge Maureen McKee is a psychotic witch who hates fathers and gives kids to child abusers, look at this case number and that case number, then all of a sudden Judge McKee starts giving 50-50 to dads. Ain't that amazing? But you punk ass bitches won't go protest once. And then you talk shit to me and about me. And then when I confront people on their bullshit, they say, oh, well, your baby's mom must have left you because you're not good in bed. I got faggots up here obsessed with what and how I do in bed. That's my gender. So let me make sure I didn't miss any questions, then I'm gonna get up off here because I'm still sleep deprived because I got some assholes who set up times with me and then there are no shows and I got to get up early for them when I could have slept in and been rejuvenated to do more free videos for you guys. That's another thing, you know, I mentioned it in a video, like, if everybody on my YouTube channel just donated $5 once, and when I say everybody, I'm thinking like 1/10 of the people. And I got like 7,000 followers. If 1/10 of them gave $5, what's that? 3,500 bucks. I could spend the whole month just doing free videos in detail for you guys, but nobody wants to even donate. But if you have some stupid ass cause that doesn't amount to a hill of beans on real life issues, people go out and donate, drop money on whatever. People drop money for cancer research. We've been researching cancer for 100 years and haven't come up with a cure. It's an industry. They want people sick, and you're sitting there donating to that bullshit. I mentioned that in a video, and then I got one guy, he donated $5, and I reached out to him and I said, thank you very much, and I appreciate it. I don't take that lightly. That's somebody who actually cared. And then I got hundreds of hours of free videos that if you watched all of them and you studied everything, now it'll take you 100 times longer to figure that out on your own. When I do a consult, I'll give a guy a specific video or two to watch. If you never get a consult with me, you got to go through what I have like 500 videos now. You got to go through all that and grasp all that instead of getting a lesson one-on-one with me and learning something directly, like anybody with half a brain would say, you know what, it'd be way worth my time to just get a consult with James and then feel him out. If I don't like it, I'll learn something or whatever. So almost nobody gets a consult compared to the amount of people that watch my videos or follow me or whatever. And then everybody's pissing and moaning that I charge for my time. And I'm out here, like I could be doing something else. I could be sleeping right now. But I'm out here telling people, stop doing this pussy ass bitch, kids need moms too, because that's not true. Kids will do just fine without mom. They're in greater danger without a dad. Now, there's cases where I'm dealing with mothers and dad is a narcissist. He's part of that criminal, 1% of society are criminals. There's 1% of the population in jail. So there are evil people out there. But in general, a team needs a coach or a leader. A ship needs a captain. A company needs a CEO. You need a leader. A church needs a pastor. You need a leader. The leader of the family is the father. When the shepherd is smitten, then the sheep will scatter. It's chaos. And this punk ass bitch guy who was talking to me, he's in the military and he should understand the chain of command. He's the 5-star general of his family. He should understand that they need a leader in charge of their platoon, their troops, their group, or their category, or whatever. So this guy, he just kept wanting, first of all, again, he wanted a 30-minute call. And he had 5 hours worth of issues. So in the beginning, he didn't give a shit. He wanted some easy magical wand. When I told him the reality of like, keep your kid and rescue your kids from the mom, he didn't want to hear that. He wanted to be a bitch. And he was in the military. Our safety's in trouble if there's a bunch of punk ass bitches like that. And then in the end, he said, my kids will know one day that I did the right thing. No, they won't, you stupid freaking retarded dumbass. My sister with Down syndrome has better common sense than that and can foresee a danger better than that. I'm gonna look and see. You know, the trolls on here, like they can't even come up with anything creative. Like, it's funny that, people just don't have any self-awareness. The trolls can't come up with anything that you haven't heard in like elementary school. Bunch of lost generations of trolls who they can't think of anything except what some bully said in elementary school. Getting their rocks off from some dopamine hit they get by saying something derogatory. The time to fight is now. James has helped me so much. This is FV or PV Hellcat. I need to get glasses. Looks like FV Hellcat. And I got more than what I was asking for in court because of his knowledge. Thank you for the comment. So Matt said I need this help. My phone number is under every YouTube video. You can call or text me and set up a time, and then we can get going. I like to just make it quick. If you know what day and time you want, pick it. If it's open, I'll give you my options, and then I ask for payment, locked in, and boom, we get to talking. And all you got to do is just know a little bit about your case. If you have court orders, you should know your court orders. And then we just go from there. Um, I'm just trying to make sure. I've been. It's funny. I hear crickets. There's no off season, right, for this stuff, right? Um, that's the hardest thing we got into. Okay, so David is saying many men know how to make money, but are less tuned into reliable daycare solutions. Meaning, if they win custody, they may or may not be prepared to balance with work schedule. No reason to not fight for custody, however, it's critical planning consideration. Let me tell you this. Well, my baby's mom, after I beat the snot out of her at a temporary order hearing, contempt hearing, was doing discovery, fought off her protection order, and just like 95% of cases, she surrendered. Most of you guys end up surrendering because the mother's beating you down. That's the way that people win most. I have people who went and put on their own 2, 3, 4 day trials by themselves. That's why that Ricardo bitch, he said you should not represent yourself because a judge told an attorney one time that you have a fool for a client when he represented himself. But that was because that was an attorney who did a bad job at it. So it's the attorneys who are effing things up. But anyway, Ricardo said you shouldn't represent yourself. But as far as this thing goes, when I was representing myself, my baby's mom's attorney calls me up, and he had 17 years experience. And I was also fighting a guardian ad litem, this radical feminist man-hating bitch who had 10 years of legal experience as a lawyer. I did a video on her too. Like I've done on, I just did a video on David Contos where I talk about other judges and lawyers too. Go watch that. Everybody should be doing videos and exposing their judges. Everybody's letting them get away with stuff in secret, and you run and tuck your tail and run like a little bitch and cry and go in your little, you go to the bar and talk to your friend, and nobody ever confronts the judge, and they never get known. And then I look like a nut job because I'm the only one out here protesting because all the bitches are staying at home not doing anything. So this guy says that men are afraid because they don't have daycare. I've had countless guys, so I can't go for full custody. I can't even go for 50-50. I only got one room in my home. So? What's more important, your relationship with your kid? Or you sleeping on the floor and letting them sleep in your bed? Where in the law does it say you have to have a certain amount of bedrooms? It might say vaguely the stability of the home and the environment and stuff, but you can make an argument for that. Oh, the 4 wall, if I have to live in a mansion to have my kid, there's single moms living in a house with 4 other single moms, and there's cockroaches and all kinds of other stuff. Let's go round up those kids. If they say something stupid, see, I have answers for everything in every situation. It's just I can't talk about everybody's situation, everybody's argument. That's why you need a one-on-one consult. If you don't get a one-on-one consult, you're on your own. And if you're on your own, don't complain in the comments, bitch. Now, if you're totally broke and you're living on the street and you can't afford anything, then I can understand. But I still don't even get the whole thing like, I can't afford a consult with you. I've had guys who for 6 months said they can't afford a consult, and they're trying to ask me questions for free answers. And you can't save $100 in 6 months? You're full of shit. You don't give a shit about your kids, and you want some welfare treatment, just like these bitch divas who want free stuff because they got their kid. Let me get back to this. And you know, you hear a lot of negativity come out of me, but that's because we're in a war and 99% of the soldiers are sitting down and asleep, and they got weapons available, but they don't want to pick them up. They're like, oh, it's too hard to train and get in shape for war. It's too hard to learn how to clean my gun and disassemble it. It's too hard to do this. Bitch, there's a war going on. You better do it. As the enemy's encroaching, it's either kill or be killed. You don't have a choice. So the fact that while I'm up here telling you this is what works and this is what worked for me, and if you do anything less than this, it's an automatic loss, and you're sitting there wanting, cry, and piss and moan, after I've won over and over in court, I don't want to hear your stupid ass, lazy ass, bitch made bullshit. And I hear it every single day. And I had an appointment just yesterday with a guy who said they need their mom, they need their mom, they need their mom. And the mom may be toxic and all that stuff, but they'll realize it when they're 18 years old, 10 years from now, that I tried. No, they won't, you stupid ass bitch. They'll know that you're there when you're there. If you're not there, she gets to brainwash them. And she moved for a boyfriend from what I could tell. So you care more about the mother having the kids and rewarding her for making a boyfriend more important than you. You're a punk ass bitch made subhuman piece of shit. If you're still watching this, I don't give a shit. The reason why there's not as many dads involved is dads aren't stepping up to the plate because it's hell, it's war, but are your kids worth it? You guys all talk shit about you'll die for your kids, you do anything for your kids. Even go to war in family court? No, you won't, because most of you are bitches. If you're going to talk shit, why don't you back it up now that it's time to go? But see, there's so many fathers not involved in society screwed up because the guys are a bunch of punk ass bitch cowards. And they said, well, my attorney told me I didn't have a chance. Why didn't you grow some balls like a real man and said, F you, I'll do it myself. You want something done right, do it yourself. Oh, well, you can't do that in court. I did it. I was a warehouse worker who flunked out of college. You have no excuse. You excuse making little bitches. You were tough enough to have a kid. And you knew she was crazy. Most of you knew she was crazy. I knew my baby's mom was off a little. I know I shouldn't have been messing around with her. I did it anyway. And I was a dumbass. And I paid for it. And see, look, I can own it. I'm still fine. I'm sitting here alive and well. Maybe not well. I mean, I got my old man pains and all that other stuff. And that's why you guys' excuses piss me off. Because I'm up here, tired, drained, lack of sleep. I have an idea that came from some... a lot of times I'm giving free information you won't get from your attorney, and I'm taking my free time doing it with no hope of getting any donation from one single person who watches and benefits from the free video. Not getting one single donation, so it's my free time because I'm passionate about this stuff. And then this week, half of the people who scheduled consults with me were no-shows and cost me some sleep. You got a lot of bitch-ass nerve to even complain at all. You're lucky I'm even here. I could do the Judge Anthony, Judge Anthony didn't get custody himself and he lost his divorce case, and I'm sitting here winning my divorce case without an attorney. You could at least pay me half away and charge $325 an hour. Since Judge Anthony said, and there will be a couple people who will pay because they know my value. And then I won't be able to, and then I'll be more out of reach to you guys who can't afford that. But I'm not doing that. I'm trying to make it affordable so I can live and you can afford it. And I still got 90% of dads being bitch-ass, whining, crying, complaining little sissies. And you have no excuse because I went through everything you've gone through. Unless you've been to jail, falsely accused of molestation. I've been through everything you've been through. And I came out on top. And if you're making an excuse that you can't try or you didn't know before, I figured it out on my own before the internet was big. I had to go look at books in the law library. Everything is at the click of a button. And the easier that I make access and links for you guys to do stuff for free, the more bitch-ass, lazy cowards you become and don't do anything. So the guys who say, I wish I would have known you 3 years ago, you could have got off your ass and Googled father's rights and been looking for a better answer than what your attorneys give you. Because in your conscience, every single one of you knew that what you were getting was a bad deal. So why didn't you look for, if your kid is sick with the disease and the doctor says, well, there's no hope, you will go look for a second opinion, won't you? Now that's kind of easy. You're not in a fight like you are in family court where somebody's lying about you and stuff, but you have to put some energy and time into it. You will do that if it's that scenario, or if you're diagnosed with something, you'll get a second opinion or look somewhere else. But when it comes to your kids, you'll just totally trust this attorney sitting right in front of you and won't go you're not even curious to look elsewhere? Anybody could have found me back to 2000. There are people in Australia and Europe and Canada finding me back in 2008, you lazy ass bitch. Stop. Oh, if I would have done this, you didn't do it. You were a lazy ass bitch. So now what do you want to do? You're on supervised visitation or every other weekend. One of my haters on TikTok, he's on supervised visitation now. And he said he talked to me 15 years ago, went to court one time after we met and said his paper was thrown in the trash, and he didn't follow up with me to fix it. He followed up with an attorney. $10,000, screwed him over. Another attorney, $10,000, screwed him over. Another attorney, $10,000, screwed him over. This guy quit with me, and now 15 years later, he's harassing me on my TikTok saying the only reason I won is because my baby's mom is black and a crackhead. That's some hater bitch assedness. And when I talk the way that I talk, I'm not even saying it to the gravity that it really is. You are a mother effing piece of shit if you don't want to fight for your kids and you're crying about it. And you got yourself in a hole because you didn't look for real answers from the beginning. Because I did it, and I found my help in the phone book. You don't even have to look in the phone book. It's a one-touch button. You could do an algorithm or a hashtag and say, hey, custody for dad. But you didn't even think to look for custody dad because you're such a bitch. You think custody always has to go to mom, and you can't even think outside the box because you're a good little sheep. You're a good little slave. You follow the lead of what everybody else. I got countless people who tell me, well, I was told that I can't win. Who told you that? Oh, my cousin's brother's sister's hairdresser. What the F kind of experience do they have in family court helping people win? Oh, none. What the F are you doing listening to a hairdresser, you stupid ass retarded Neanderthal who hasn't fully evolved yet? I mean, come on. You're either a coward or you're lazy. That's what it comes down to. It isn't, oh, somebody told me I couldn't do that. You're too lazy to look for a better answer. You're too cowardly. Somebody tells you can't do it. You're like, oh, phew, I can't do it. So now I have an excuse not to fight and grow some balls. I want to be a pussy ass bitch right now. And now I have an excuse to just sit around and drink and watch Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Saturday college football, Sunday football, and Sunday Night Football. Because I don't want to disturb my comfort zone and have to step out off my, man cave recliner and have to fight for my kid. Sick and tired of punk ass bitch made fruity gay boys. And I'm not talking about being big, tough, and bad and being able to fight. I've had guys 6'6", 300 pounds come to my office crying because they can't see their kid and telling them, you got to do this. Well, I can't. I'm scared of my baby's mom. It's not about you being big, bad. It's about your heart. Are you willing to stand up for truth? Are you willing to stand up for justice and what's right? Are you willing to stand up for your own kids? Because when you got an alienating mother, a corrupt court system, a biased judge, the mother's attorney, a guardian ad litem, somebody doing a psych eval or a parenting eval on you, all these sick, twisted, sick, demonic perverts around you, the only person that can rescue your kids from the hell the mother wants to put them through and use them as a tool and weapon. The mother is abusing your kids as a tool and weapon for leverage, for child abuse, for child support, for alimony, for the house, for money. It's the curse of Eve. Any of you Bible believers out there, after God told Eve you have pain and labor, watch what he says next. It's the curse of Eve. Women want to rule over man and control. That's why the feminists didn't stop at equality. They want to rule, dominate, and control. It's in their nature. And the only way to fix it is to check them. But too many of us are soft pussy bitches who can't check a woman or stand up to them. Okay, I didn't answer this guy's question. Many men know how. Oh, he was talking about they don't want to go for custody because of daycare. I've had guys who say, I can't go for 50-50. My situation in my house and my home and my job and my this and my that and my that and my that and my that. When my baby's mom's attorney called me up, said, James, she wants to give you custody. She wants to resolve the case. I nearly fainted and dropped to my knees, and thank God I couldn't believe it. And that's when I realized, wait a minute. All I did was had my mind made up that I'm fighting for my kid until she's 18. I don't give a shit what anybody says. If I lose every single friend, I brought this child into the world. I'm responsible for her. I'm going to be a man. I'm going to fight for her. And I'm going to be able, if I lose every hearing until she's 18, I'm going to be able to face her and face God and say, I did everything I could to be in her life. And it turned out that mentality is what you need to fight. And most men don't have it and don't want to obtain it. And all it is a choice. I didn't have some deep, strong, I was a beta male most of my life. I enjoyed my women friends more than guy friends because alpha males used to bug me. In my little circle in my church, like I was the nice guy among a bunch of alpha males. We had a bunch of college football players in our church, and the women were intimidated by them, and they'd always go to me and talk to me or ask me for do favors or whatever because I was such a beta. Which is fine because nobody hurt me doing that. But when you're going to take my child away from me, that's when Simba stops being a bitch swimming in the oasis out in the desert. That's when Simba needs to confront the Scar and stand up and rescue his kingdom. Your kingdom is your family. If the mother is going to be a Scar or a Judas or a traitor and take your kid away, and if you think about this is an argument for court also. They're not just taking the kid away from you and your constitutional right. They're taking a father away from a child. You are the most important thing to that kid in life outside of food, water, and air. How can you be such a disrespectful asshole to your children and not fight for them to have a father, you dumbass bitch, excuse-making bitch? The excuses are over. You don't have any. And related to this guy's point that when dads, they don't want to fight for custody because it's hard for them to get daycare, I call bullshit on that. Now, there's not as many free or resourceful daycares out there. But what I had to do is I had to scramble. And I actually used to sneak my daughter into work. I did what I had to do. But when they made that call and they say, James, she wants to settle with you. She wants to give you custody. I almost fainted. And if I was one of these punk ass bitch dads, I would have said, well, wait, let me think about it for a while. Or, I said, yes, okay, boom. Yes, I want my kid. I will figure the stuff out later. Yes, I want my kid. I will figure out how to do this, that, and that later. I want my kid. I'll worry about the rest later. I will live in a box if it means doing that. I will work 3 jobs. I'll figure it out. I want my kid. See, all this excuse making, oh, well, fathers need to figure out daycare and stuff. F that. F you. F your punk ass excuse. I understand it's harder. So what? Do you want your kid or not? And I've had a great relationship with my kid. Now, she had her teenage years and rebellious years. I made mistakes. There's things I totally regret. But the one thing nobody can deny is I was there. I was there. And the number one thing your kid wants, and your kid will always know, were you there? And her mom wasn't there. Her mom abandoned her for years at a time, would pop in and do some business and pop out. Maybe she never really wanted her in the first place, and she just wanted to trap me. I don't know. That's what it seems like. But I'm not going to flatter myself. But there's something weird going on there. But in any case, as soon as they said, now listen carefully, this guy is saying dads don't want to go for custody because of child care options. Figure out how to do a job from home then. It's easier than ever to do that. Scratch and claw and scrounge for family to help or whatever. Like I said, I was working 2 jobs. When I worked the night job, I had some friends who babysat, then family babysat, and they're not always reliable. So sometimes I had to sneak my daughter into work. And then when I get caught, I had to do something else, and I figured some other stuff out. That's what men do. And listen, when they called and said, hey, she wants to give you custody, do you want to agree to that? Yes, the end. And they said, okay, do you want the kid now? She's going to be moving in 30 days. Do you want to wait 30 days? Do you want the kid now? Now! I didn't even hesitate. See, when you guys follow your conscience and you jump on what your conscience says, hey, my lawyer won't fight for me. It doesn't want to go for 50-50. My conscience says that's bullshit. I'm going to look for another answer. My public defender wants me to cop a plea to domestic violence. I didn't do it. My conscience is saying fight this. I'm going to fight this. My conscience says get a second opinion. This guy is full of shit. My conscience says the attorney works for me and they're bossing me around and telling me what to do. That doesn't make any sense. You've never paid somebody to be a mouthpiece or an agent to advocate for you, and they say, stop telling me what to do. We're going to do it my way. It's not your attorney's case. It's your case. I should do a whole video on that because people got it so freaking twisted in the sea. Everything that I'm talking about is some freaking damn common sense. And the reason why you haven't thought of it is because you haven't sat and thought what's right and wrong. You sit there and think, okay, what am I able to do in light of all these feminists that I'm scared of, and the court system that I'm scared of, and my lawyer that I'm scared of, and my baby's mom that I'm scared of, and life that I'm scared of? If you're that scared, don't ever go outside. There's 300 million germs and bacteria and viruses out there. You can catch one any day. Stay inside, bitch. Damn, we're such a bunch of freaking faggoty cowards. So when they called and said, do you want custody? I said, yep. I had no idea what I was going to do or how I was going to do it. And I figured it out later. I made the decision that needed to be. And then they said, do you want the kid now? Or do you want to wait 30 days till she moves and get stuff in order? Now. And I took my daughter and the clothes on her. The mom gave me a bag of clothes that I pretty much bought for her. She didn't give me the crib that I bought. She didn't give me the changing station and dresser that I bought. And I scrounged and fought. And the mother did some trifling stuff by selling everything in a garage sale that I got for her. But I figured it out. And I worked my ass off because that's what real men do, bitch. If you don't want to do that, then quit and make your life easy and don't give yourself a stroke and don't fight in court. Surrender to what the mother says and be a bitch little slave. But if you're going to keep fighting and keep dancing around and spending $10,000 on an attorney, make your attorney do a deposition, for crying out loud. If you don't know what a deposition is, watch my video on depositions or get a consult with me. I've had guys do their own depositions and destroy the mother, guardian ad litems, and other experts and witnesses' credibility in depositions. What's your excuse? You don't have any excuse. You have zero excuses. You can figure all this stuff out, and you can figure it out fastest if you get a consult with me. But if you don't have any balls and you want to be a bitch, don't call me, please. I don't want to have to convince you to repent of your bitch ways. Apache says, like he says, win, 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 or no deal. You have to go in and go for the win, just like anything else in life. If you're playing a basketball game and you're up by 30 at halftime, you don't let up. You have to finish and put the nail in the coffin, or they can make a comeback. You don't half-ass any of this stuff. You're right about no excuse making. The curse of Eve is on target, and Adam's punishment of leadership. Well, Adam's punishment was having to till the ground. God grew the food without him having to do anything. But it's said that, he shall rule over you. It's always going to be a man's world, but women are always going to want to buck and usurp authority and nag and control and stuff. And that's what a Jezebel spirit is about. I'm changing my career to something more family friendly, away from military deployments. Good. Now that's I will say military folks are in a jam when they they're stuck with a commitment. So, but I mean, that's a tough one. I would try and get a discharge or something like that, and say, look, I got a custody battle. She's trying to take my kid. She's a child abusing mom. I got to rescue the kid or whatever. Yeah, get this guy knowledge. Well worth it. Thanks, Elena. No, I think that's the same woman who was commenting earlier. Let me just make sure I haven't missed anything else. If you got a question, this is your last chance to get a question in. There is no honor for the effed up mom. They don't go looking for us. We go and find them. Somebody said, what is the technique? If you're going to ask a short, vague question like that, the short, vague answer is to use all the weapons available and get on the offensive and go to war and go all out and make this your life for the year or so that you're in court. Some people have to do it for a couple of years, but if you go through hell now, I went through hell for 7 months until they surrendered. I had no clue that they were going to surrender. I had no idea that they were willing to give up. No clue. All I knew is I was going to keep chugging along. And it turned out what I was doing is the way that things work. I stumbled across the truth or the answers. So the technique is getting on the offensive, going to war, and using all the weapons available to you. And exercising all your options. Every motion that you could do. Every option to appeal or fix a bad decision. Doing discovery. Getting on the offensive. Every time the mother sneezes wrong, hold her accountable. Do contempt when she violates an order. Calling her out when it's time to call her out. How to do that in detail? I don't have time to do the 5 hours worth of lessons on that. If you want to know, if you're totally lost and you're like, what's the technique to fight and win? You need a consult. If you don't want a consult, then stay lost. I don't know what else to tell you. The guy who mentored me, I had like a dozen consults with him. And he wouldn't answer the phone sometimes. He got burnt out from doing it. And eventually got burnt out where he didn't want to do anything with it. And the father's rights movement in the 90s looked like it was getting somewhere. And then it petered out. And then that guy got burnt out from doing stuff. And so Dads Against Discrimination in Washington and Oregon looked like they were making some headway with some law changes and what they were doing. And dads getting custody left and right in their groups, representing themselves, suing the mothers in federal court. My mentor sued the mother in federal court and didn't have to pay a dime in child support. I don't know how he did it. I didn't get into that. I was just trying to get custody. And my other mentor, Dennis Gack of the National Brotherhood of Fathers' Rights, who I think he passed away, You could Google that, National Brotherhood of Fathers' Rights. Or if you look up the name Dennis Gack, G-A-C, I think he's the only Gack out there that I've ever seen. He has some materials out there. But he was a little bit of a hustler, but he gave me some good advice. He said, I can count on one hand the number of dads who wanted to fight like you fought. And that's what it takes to even get a chance in this. And I was like, what the hell? I'm just doing the bare minimum what I think I should be doing. How the hell are there only a few guys doing it? Because my gender is a bunch of punk-ass bitch sissies. There's some things I have to figure out between my attorney and investigator. Your attorney should be doing a deposition on the mother, bare minimum. If you lost a hearing, they should do a reconsideration. Your attorney should be talking about alienation and the games being played in the best interest of the child and all the science and all the data. It's in my flow page. Every single person should know every item in my flow page under the section that says must see information. All my resources are in one spot, like a link tree. Link tree is a more popular all-in-one link. I had a link tree. I said something negative about COVID or the vaccine, and then they banned me because I committed blasphemy against that. So I'm using flowpage.com or flowcode. And it's my flow page, and it has all my links in one. Payment options, consultation fees, link to my store, which, that store has what? How many items does it have? It has maybe 20, 3, 6, 9, 10, 12. I think it has like 25 items in there, including a video on the evidence rules. 3 of the items every single dad should have. If you're falsely accused of domestic violence and child abuse or anger problems, there's 3 items in there every dad should have. If you're not falsely accused of domestic violence and problems like that, then every dad should have at least 2 documents in there. And in my flow page, I have a video explaining what 3 things you should have. Or what 3 things are most important out of my store. Most of my packets are $45, and most of those packets are worth $1,000. If you had an attorney do some of that stuff, some of them are worth more. You go in and spend $45, it's going to cost some other thousands of dollars to fight against that investment that you made. It's insane the few amount of people who use that stuff. Every single person that I know that got my defense against restraining order packet either got their restraining order modified or, this is people who got back to me. There's some people I think may have got it and they lost and then they, but there's countless people, because I'll never say that there's 100% chance of anything, okay? You might go in front of a radical feminist, man-hating, hairy-legged lesbian who got molested by her dad and you're screwed no matter what. And then you're going to want to appeal or remove them or do a reconsideration or get a different judge. If it's a commissioner, you appeal to a judge, like you can in California and Washington. If it's a magistrate or friend of the court, I think it's called friend of the court of Michigan, magistrate in Florida and I think New York. Anytime you could take, I just had a guy in Florida, he's been getting nowhere with attorneys. And then he tried to do stuff himself, but he got nowhere and he couldn't even get a hearing on his issue. And now he finally got one. He pushed and he got rid of a magistrate who was an asshole and said, your constitutional right doesn't matter. If you guys did videos on guys like that, we would embarrass them and they would change their minds. The video that I did on David Contos, Kontos, the video I did on him, I'm going to email everybody at the courthouse that video. That guy's a substitute judge and he had sex at the courthouse, was kicked off the rotation. Then he got back on 10 years later when everybody forgot about it. He trades sex for services with his female clients. And he doesn't read court papers. His own secretaries told me. I know his secretaries. I'm going to email that to everybody. I'm going to email it to David so that everybody knows what a piece of shit he is. And hopefully he will never be a substitute judge again. That's the type of stuff that everybody should be doing. But nobody's doing that. Not even these fathers' rights groups. Because they want to, what happens with these fathers' rights movement groups or that guy from Dad Talk Today, that fat ass little bitch made feminine little goofy little simp. His wife is on Facebook talking about what a narcissist he is. Maybe he is, maybe she's a liar. But that bitch, I sent him a message. I said, all you ever have is hopeless videos. Why don't you have stories of guys winning in court and give people some hope? And he blocked me just for saying that. He doesn't want positive stories because he makes his money and fame and gets his rocks off from whining, crying, pissing, and moaning about the system. Those are the resources for dads out there. Whine, cry, piss, and moan. And you know who's listening to those people? Nobody except other victims. You know, Mothers Against Drunk Driving didn't whine and cry to other mothers who lost their sons to drunk driving. They went to legislatures and created laws that if you get caught driving drunk, you go to jail. And they didn't do that before. They got pissed and did something about it with the right people. The fathers' rights movement groups, they want to go and pass laws, and they never are able to. There's a couple of them who got 50-50 resumption laws, but there was always a clause, unless there's abuse. And so the mothers just argue abuse even more. But they won't stand up to a judge or expose judges because they're working with legislatures and they have to kiss and lick their asshole like a bunch of slave bitches because they love doing photo ops. And there's a guy in Washington's Fathers' Rights Movement group, and he had pictures all over his Facebook. Look at me with this legislator. Look at me with this legislator. And you knew he was getting his rocks off, taking pictures and posing. It's the first significant thing he did in his life. And he disappeared and fell off because he got burnt out, because he wasn't getting anywhere, because he's doing all the stupid ass bullshit that everybody has tried for 60 years and have never accomplished anything. See, these dumbass, narcissistic, prissy, diva gay boys go in there and say, no, I'm going to win these people over, and I had a great talk with my legislator. And if you look back and you pay attention to history, you'll see that they've been doing this for decades and decades, and nothing has changed. And the real root of the problem is the culture of the court. But you don't want to go in there and disrupt that because you're a cowardly little bitch. And you want the clout of being part of your little group. And even though these guys are trying to make legit groups, if you go into court, or even that video I just did of the lawyer who didn't cite the law, the lawyer from Family Law Group. This is the most recent video I did on a bad lawyer. He's standing up and saying, we had a seminar, all these judges and family law commissioners and attorneys said, this is what you should be arguing in court. It had nothing to do with the law. Don't talk about yourself. Don't talk about me, and my rights. Talk about what you're doing for the kids and whether you're taking them to soccer or you volunteer and all this stuff. Nothing to do with the law. Nothing. I forgot where I was going with that. But these fathers' rights groups, they're sitting there trying to... in that video, that lawyer said, and some guys come in there and they talk about a fathers' rights group that's working with them. They hate you guys. Or they hate the fathers' rights groups. Just saying fathers' rights group is an evil connotation, like it's a cult. So all these guys being part of fathers' rights groups, trying to kiss ass with these judges and stuff, sitting here saying, we're trying to get some clout and we're trying to get some headway. Nobody's ever got any headway in 6 years. Who the hell do you think you are? Martin Luther King meets Moses? You self-flattering egomaniac diva bitch. Stop flattering yourself. They're not going to listen to you, asshole. You lost in court, and so did all your members. How the hell are you going to go and change anything, you dumbass? Why don't you have somebody who won something go in and say, look at this single custodial father who did a great job raising his kids. Or kid, or somebody like me, or whoever. There's plenty of examples. Let them talk about how well fathers do, or expose what judges are doing to these legislators or to politicians or whatever, and get them in trouble. Or for crying out loud, file bar complaints, sue them for malpractice. I had a dad who sued his own attorney for malpractice. He spent $1,500. The attorney and his big dog law firm that he hired, they got scared of it. See this Ricardo bitch-ass faggot that was in the comments saying you should never represent yourself? I helped the guy file a lawsuit against his attorney, and he represented himself. And the attorney got a big giant law firm to help him defend against malpractice. We scared the crap out of them. They ended up settling for $25,000. Who's this Ricardo faggot bitch in the comments that was whining and crying about the system and telling me I don't know what I'm doing? I have another guy, if you guys look at the videos where I talk about attorneys, and this other guy, I show his email. He got my demand letter packet from my store, and which has 30 letters, which would cost $200 a piece if an attorney wrote them, for $45. And I make it that much because mostly everybody's just going to use 1 or 2 letters out of there, and you have to customize it yourself. So he got my packet for $45. He demanded half of his money back from his attorney. He spent $12,000, and the attorney gave him $6,000 back. My demand letter scared the crap out of the attorney. But people don't want to use tools that have worked for people. There's people who got my defense against protection order packet, and they texted it. If you go to have some of my testimonials under the hashtag HIGC, how I got custody testimony. If you go on YouTube and you type in hashtag HIGC testimony, you'll see it should group the videos with those testimonies on them. One guy sent me a text and he said, I went in and fought off a bogus restraining order. Now I'm going for custody. He said, thanks for your packet. I said, did we do a consult? Because I can't remember everybody. Did we do a consult? He goes, no, I just got your packet. There's people who just got the packet and they used the packet and they argued in court correctly and they fought off a bogus restraining order. And I had a guy, like I said yesterday, it's now Friday. Yesterday I had a guy, he said the mom got an emergency restraining order and she was able to bully him with that. This guy, other guy I'm talking about, fought off the restraining order. And now she's screwed. I fought off 7 attempts at restraint. The more I didn't talk to my mother, the more her attorney kept trying to conjure something up. Like there was phone calls between the mother and the child. And the mother and I decided to talk. I picked up the phone. Can I talk to our daughter? And I said, do you want to keep fighting or do you want to work this out? And then we talked for a while. And then she said, excuse me. She said, I harassed her on the phone. The judge said, if you're on the phone with them 2 hours, why didn't you just hang up? So she looked stupid. She tried 7 different times for a restraining order against me. The first try was over 2 hearings. That was her best chance at getting it, and she lost. After that, she had no chance. And then I dated this chick a couple years ago, narcissistic, psychotic Jezebel whore. She played a good damsel in distress at first. I got suckered like a stupid dumbass and felt bad for her, tolerated a bunch of disrespect, which was my first time playing Captain Save-A-Ho. She grew up with a rough life, was molested, all this other stuff, so I felt bad for her. And I was friends with her for 10 years, so I believed her sob stories for a while. Now I know better. First and last time I ever played that bullshit. Had to get a protection order against her. And she tried 4 different cases against me to get protection order against me and lost. So I know a little something about this. Your bitch-ass attorney has never fought off a protection order. They always say settle and agree and settle and agree. Why do you have an attorney that just cops a plea and agrees all the time? Why? You could do that. You could surrender on your own. Why are you paying an attorney $10,000 to surrender every time? Your retarded ass has got to wake the frick up sometime. Come on, man. Okay, the one to talk. I have a PI too. Just got to get those papers served, then enforced. What were you talking about? I just want to know what else my other options are. I'm waiting on my attorney, but your channel popped up. Okay, that's Dr. Disaster. I don't know what you haven't done. I don't have any restraints against me at all. Oh, so here's a preview. The judge court ordered me to have 100% custody of my daughter, but she needs to be served still. If your daughter's in a daycare or somewhere, go pick up your daughter. Also, your attorney, so Dr. Disaster, your attorney should have got a writ of habeas corpus so you could get the cops to help you hunt her down and yank the kid. If your attorney didn't get a writ of habeas corpus, your attorney's a stupid jackass. Baby mom is trying to renew the personal protection order, which she falsified the preponderance of evidence in her declarations. Okay, if she had a protection order, they almost automatically, the way they write the laws is that if she's concerned that you might do something in the future, that's good enough. You got to make an overwhelming argument on that stuff. You probably need a consult with me to deal with that stuff. You're an answered pair, bro. Okay. Now the Ricardo bitch is saying my point was despite the system rigged, I still beat it. Great. So why did you come on and just whine about the system for 5 different comments, dumbass? I bet money this probably isn't your first DV either. What the hell are you talking about? I fought off protection orders, dumbass. What the hell are you talking about, bitch? See, this is what happens when you have haters that come on here and retarded people who start telling a whole story, and you're like, what the hell is that story on here for? And they go, oh, I forgot to tell you that I actually won. So what the hell are you wasting my time reading some stupid ass bullshit? That's great that you're won. I'm happy for you, actually. I love it when dads win in court. But you're up here telling people you shouldn't get this and that. If that's not what you meant, restructure your sentences, retarded dumbass. God, I hate when people have no self-awareness. You're saying one thing, but you're hiding what you're really going to say later on, or you mean something else, and you're a retarded dumbass who has no self-awareness. You're talking to total strangers. If you start talking about elephants in the jungle, and you really want to talk about deep scuba diving, what the hell are you talking about? Oh, I was going to eventually get the contrast between people in the jungle, animals in the jungle, and deep sea. Just get to your freaking point. Damn, I hate when people beat around the bush and waste time. Everybody else is asking direct questions and right to the point. Your dumbass is jumping around, and now you're shitting on me saying this isn't your first DV. What the F are you talking about? I've never had a DV case. I've never had any criminal case. I've had people try and do restraining orders, and I've kicked ass on all of them. Stupid, dumbass piece of shit. We're all on the same team, and we end up fighting because somebody on here is retarded. And all these fathers' rights groups. There's fathers' rights groups. I will go on a fathers' rights groups page on Facebook, and a guy asks a question, and a bunch of numbnut, retarded, stupid-ass pieces of shit will tell them, yeah, you got to give your kid back to the mom, even though the boyfriend's molesting your daughter. Yeah, you got to do this and that. And we go and look up the law, and it says he doesn't have to do that. And then I get kicked out of those groups because I say, what the F are you doing on here with your loser-ass advice, endangering a kid, you stupid-ass piece of shit? And I'm the bad guy because this punk ass bitch made dad is telling a dad, you got to hand your kid over to a child molester. People hate truth. People don't want to say, oh, I was wrong. A lot of people in the fathers' rights movement groups, there's a guy named Harry Loudon, his last name is Lautenschlager. I forget his first name right now. He's a very knowledgeable guy about Ohio laws, but he's been out there having circle jerks with legislators and talking about, hey, the system is rigged, the system sucks. He told me 15 years ago he's going to change laws to a presumption of 50-50. He never got that law in place, so he looks like a total dumbass. So he's running around telling people that I only got custody because I abused the system against the mother. I have 37 documents in the file during our custody battle. That's between both of us. So he lied about that in writing to somebody, and then he said that I took my daughter out of state when I wasn't allowed to. I didn't take my daughter out of state until a few years after I got custody. Oh, it's Ray Lautenschlager in Ohio. So if you're in Ohio, he may have some answers for you, even though he's a punk-ass bitch, old, elderly, washed-up piece of shit who hasn't done jack shit for the fathers' rights movement. He might have some knowledge for you, and he brags that he does it for free. So if you're in Ohio, call Ray Lautenschlager. His wife brags that they work for people for free. So say, hey, look, I heard that you do stuff for free. Can I get some information on how to deal with my Ohio case? So, that guy, we're supposed to be on the same team. I've actually referred people to him. And I didn't know. Me and him argued over whether he was going to pass a law, and he said, you don't know what the hell you're doing. And it seems like he lost in court because his Facebook page talks about how he hates his ex and all this other stuff. And I won in court, and I'm an enemy because he doesn't like me telling him. And my whole point is, his whole thing was, I am going to get this passed. I am going to win. This is my baby. I've been doing this for years, and it's going to happen. He's got his ego and identity and his whole life wrapped up in I'm going to do this, that anybody who says otherwise is an enemy. And I was right when I said, bullshit, you're not going to get anything passed like that. And he didn't. And even if he did, we're still on the same team. But my gender is filled with drama, feminine, bitch-ass diva cycle. You would think women would be acting like this, but the women are sticking together in their women's rights groups. So much so that Joe Biden's Violence Against Women Act gives billions of dollars to all these women groups. But my bitch-ass gender can't stick together and do 2 meetings in a row and have everybody attend. We had a chance to vote out 2 judges. Most of the time, lawyers will not run against a sitting judge. We had 2 lawyers willing to run against these sitting judges. And we needed dads to come out and volunteer and go to a target voting area. If we got them convinced to vote against these judges, we could get them ruled out. I called every father's rights semblance group that was left, or groups of people I knew. None of those guys showed up except 1 or 2. Bitch-ass, lying, hypocrite faggots. When it was time to actually get judges voted out or fired specifically for their bad family law rulings, they were no-shows. That's why I got no respect for any group until they prove that they're doing something. I'm proving I'm doing something because you can look at the testimonies the guy's winning. Judge Anthony is doing something. He does have testimonies. Now, he's an extra trying, wanting to be down little attention whore bitch because, you know, he does these little dances when there's a testimony and all this other stuff. But, you know, he was a judge and he quit being a judge when he was caught having adultery with this lady who's now his wife, and she's rich. And even though she's rich and they have a nice mansion and stuff, he's still charging $750 an hour and doing nothing about the system. There's something wrong with that guy, but he does say some truths, and I'm sure he has some good stuff on there. I will never go and personally insult somebody and say, you don't know what the hell you're doing, when they apparently do. He was a judge, so he knows he has some insight that some of us don't. But I also worked at the courthouse, and I saw judges and other people, working off, you know, behind the scenes, and I saw how shitty they treated criminal defendants and how corrupt they were. So I have some insight too on that. I've done about every job that there is, being a paralegal at a big law firm, paralegal at a small law firm, working as a clerk at the courthouse. You know, I know people who work at the courthouse and know some insight on that stuff. So, but I'm never gonna lie about somebody and make up some stupid ass shit like all my haters do. Oh, you must have been bad in bed. Oh, you must abuse your daughter. Oh, all this stuff you can't possibly know you're saying about me because I confronted you on your bullshit and pointed out what a pussy coward you are and how you're not going to win in court because you're taking the loser approach. Here's the winner approach. You don't like it, then you're a pussy. There's no ifs, ands about it. And until you stop being a pussy, you're going to continue to lose. Now, if you get on the offensive, you have a way better chance of winning than this passive stuff. I've seen some guys who half-assed their case, and because they stuck to it, the mother eventually quit because she was tired of spending money on attorneys. So there are people who get worn down even when you half-ass it. But if the mother is aggressive and she's fighting you and she won't stop, if you don't fight fire with fire, it's an automatic loss. The guys who get a hold of me at the beginning of the case and get on the offensive and go to war, sometimes their case is over the next week. I had a guy who had a baby's mom. And again, this isn't a prediction for every single case. It's just, if you go this route, you have a chance. If you exert a lot of energy, you have a better chance of winning than if you half-ass anything in life. Okay? So I'm obviously not lying about that. This guy, his baby's mom, trashed his house, took the kid, said, you'll never see your kid again, filed in court. He bombed her with emotion and discovery and a packet of a questionnaire with 1 million questions. And she called him crying, what are you doing? I can't believe you're doing this to me. See, these Jezebel narcissists, they'll go and do something crazy and talk crazy about you and lie about you in court. But when you stand up to them, they can't take it. They can dish it out, but they can't take it. So they'll do and talk crazy without any, like a sociopath, without any empathy or remorse for what they're doing to you. And once you do it to them, they can't handle it. So this guy went from her threatening to he would never see the kid again and she was going to go to war with him. We just bombed him with some paperwork or her with some paperwork, all of a sudden she settled with him on 50-50. Getting on the offensive in and of itself is part of the war attrition of wearing somebody down. And a lot of you guys say, well, my attorney says don't do that. Okay. F your attorney and F you. Keep losing, bitch. I'm not going to argue with your stupid ass, retarded, unevolved, brainless 3 brain cells that you're firing on. I said what works. I show you my winning court orders. That should be enough for you to say, damn, James knows a little something. Maybe I should get a consult with him. You see testimonies of other people who've talked to me. You know I know what I'm talking about, but I tell people, don't even, I have a video I just did on TikTok I'm going to put on YouTube. Don't believe me just because I say it. Make me back it up. So when I say I won in court, don't believe me. Go look at my winning court orders. When I say people can win without an attorney, don't believe me. Go look at my winning court orders. When I say the law says frequent and continuing contact, you should shove that in front of a judge. Go read the law yourself. I point the law out to you. But you guys, you'll just trust an attorney in blind faith because they got a suit and tie. Will you trust a used car salesman just because they have a suit and tie? No. If you take your car in for a transmission overhaul and you drive it off the lot and your car gets stuck in second gear and you go back and say, hey man, my transmission's still acting up. They'll say, okay, that'll be another $3,000. You'll say, what the hell? You're going to do it for free. You did it wrong before. But in family court, you guys will hire an attorney for $5,000. They'll half-ass it and lose. And then you give them another $5,000 to lose. And you give another $5,000 to lose. That's like going back to the tranny shop and saying, fix my transmission, and you drive it off, and a day later it gets stuck in gear, or it doesn't go into gear, or it jams in park, or I don't know. I'm not too mechanically inclined, so I don't know what other problems there are with transmissions other than it getting stuck in gear, not shifting properly with the manual. But, and you go back to them, and they say, well, we need full $3,000. You go, okay. And then they do it, and they fix it, but it's still broken. And they say, we want another $3,000, you would be an utter stupid jackass to go back and pay for that 5 times in a row, the full price. You would say, fix it for free, dumbass. And see how stupid that example sounds? And yet I'm watching you guys pay $10, $20, $50, $100,000 for attorneys, and you continue to lose. And then you shit on me when I have a track record of winning. Did you ask your attorney how many dads they've gotten 50-50 or custody? You didn't even ask what kind of expert they were, and yet you blindly trusted them and paid tens of thousands of dollars. Just like the dumbass example of a dumbass who will pay for their transmission overhaul or a tune-up or something, and the car is still broken or the battery's still dead, and you go back and you pay full price again and again for the same thing. And you wonder why I get frustrated with dads or call them idiots for doing what they're doing. And I'm the asshole for saying you guys are stupid. Learn how to fight the right way that worked for me and thousands of others. And then I get retards on here who say, oh, when I was saying corrupt, I was saying I overcame it. And he comes in some Johnny come lately stuff later and then talks shit to me, anyway. How do you deal when the wife threatens to file, says a partition action, you must mean some kind of petition, on the family home we live, oh, maybe you mean partition to break it up on the family home we live in with the children. Well, I have a whole bunch of questions for that. What do you want? Do you want the house? Do you want the house sold and you guys split the profit? Do you want to walk away and give her the house and you get a check cut for the equity? Was the house bought before you were married? It all depends. It depends on, that's like saying, how do you deal with custody issues? Well, it depends. Is the mother a child abuser or is she not? Is she a good mother or bad mother? Is she trying to take the children away? So that's too much of a vague question for me to give an answer. But if anybody's fighting against me for something that I want, I'm going to go for it all. I'm going to go for the house. You're saying, how do you deal when the wife threatens? I don't give a shit about stupid ass threats. I threat back. I'll say, try me, bitch. But I'm also going to look up the law and case law on division of property. Usually it's whatever's fair and equitable. And if it's not fair and equitable, then say, that's not fair and equitable, you stupid ass bitch. You'll never get that. And then you talk shit back. All the shit talking outside of court doesn't mean jack squat. I had a guy I talked to, he said, well, I told CPS about the mom. I told my lawyer. I told my brother's cousin's sister. All he's talking about is what he's talking about outside of court. If you have two boxers talking shit or two guys in MMA talking shit, if John Jones is going to fight, or when Conor McGregor was talking shit about Habib, did I say Habib right? I can't even remember. You know, the dude who kicked Conor's ass, who may be the best pound for pound MMA fighter ever. You know, Conor McGregor was talking major shit, and he got his ass kicked thoroughly. Habib could have killed him even more if he wanted to. He actually kind of took it easy. He dominated that match from what I remember and saw. And then he finished him off when he felt like finishing him off. He could have dragged it out and punished him even more, but that dude is kind of honorable and respectable, where, you know, his family has a code of don't unnecessarily injure an opponent. Like, he's told opponents in the middle of a fight, okay, look, you need to stop fighting so hard now. I don't want to hurt you, you know. So all the shit talking McGregor did out of the ring didn't mean jack shit. What matters is when you go to the ring. So you talk shit back and be ready to back it up. If you don't know what your game plan is, you need a consult with me. If you have an attorney, your attorney's a dumbass like the rest of them, not giving you a way out or an option. If your attorney's saying, well, you better surrender, I'm scared, or we can't win this and that, what do you think the court is about? The court is a competition. All the language about the court system is a competition. Oral argument, you're arguing and fighting like a coach does to a referee. Hey, you missed that traveling call. You missed that holding call. You have a prevailing party. You have a winning party. You have somebody who wins the house, wins the property, prevails on oral argument. You confront witnesses. You interrogate. You impeach. All these are confrontational and competitive things. And your bitch-ass attorney say, well, we don't want to be too confrontational. We don't want to get on the offensive. We don't want to fight, or we don't have a chance. The law says what it says. Presumption of custody to both parents in some states. Presumption of frequent and continuing contact. There's no presumption of custody to one gender. And your attorney says, well, she's going to get it. Women always get it. When have you fought for a dad doing custody? Why don't you guys ask that simple, plain question my sister with Down syndrome would ask somebody? You're telling me I can't get custody. How many times have you fought for custody and lost? Oh, I never go for it because women always win. So you've never seen a woman win on a fight because you've never fought. You've just listened to what all your friends said, and so you just do that, and you never even know if you can win. Ain't that the most freaking insane bullshit you've ever heard? And you're just following the lead of some dumbass like that because you don't have the balls to ask a question. How many times have you tried? I had a dad, he went to mediation, and he presented Troxel versus Granville. He presented a Washington State Supreme Court case at mediation, or to his attorney. So this dad is showing a Washington State Supreme Court case. This is the Supreme Court of my state telling the courts what they have to consider. And he said, I want you to fight for this. And the attorney's like, where did you get this from? He said, oh, this father's rights guy named James who got custody. He's like, oh, that mother effer is a dumbass, blah, blah, blah. He presented to him a ruling in the U.S. Supreme Court. And the attorney disregarded, the Washington State Court, Washington Supreme Court. The mother was claiming she should have custody because she's the primary caretaker. Kovacs said, and it's in my flow page. For those of you in Washington, I have 4 links to Washington. How come you haven't looked at them yet? Because you're a lazy ass bitch and you don't care about your kids. I tell people go to my flow page. Use the resources in there. I have videos on my flow page and you're not even looking at it. Now, for those of you who are new, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the folks who've been sitting around and haven't got off their ass and learned stuff on their own because they don't care, because they're hoping the attorney will wave a magic wand and make it all go away. Anyway, this dad told his attorney, look at this Kovacs case, I want you to fight it. And instead of saying, wow, the Supreme Court said this is what the courts have to follow. What he said is, who handed this to you? This is published in the law library. Whether I handed it to him, the library handed it to him, his cousin handed it to him, it's still the Washington State Supreme Court's ruling. And this bitch-ass attorney said, oh, that guy's an idiot. I didn't say what's in the ruling. The Washington Supreme Court said it. This is how stupid these attorneys are. And you F-tards out here are following the lead of these guys, not questioning anything they say. And you're attacking me. You know, I was at there's a link to Pearl from Pearly Things. You know, she's got a couple million followers. She's a men's rights advocate. She interviewed me last summer in 2023. She took down the video. A bunch of people said, "Oh, you're going to go famous, James. You're going to go viral." I said, "Let's just wait and see." On Pearl's page, they love watching booty clapping hoes get humiliated by Pearl. No guy gets on there to watch, how can I learn how to grow some balls and be a man and fight for my kid? That interview only got 10,000 views. She has videos with millions of views on it. The section that it was in a section about, I can't remember what the category was, but it was like self-help things. And they all had 5,000 to 15,000 views. It was low compared. Maybe it was the section she put in, but she's pulled it since then. I don't know why. She may have deleted that whole section because it wasn't worth it. But she even said in the interview, I should have downloaded the interview so I could re-upload it. But she said, you know what? I like what you're saying. I might want to have you come on some of these debates. And then it was forgotten because people don't give a shit about this stuff. So you have to give a shit about your case. Now, when that dad I was just talking about, his lawyer shit on me. And he gave him the Washington State, I keep saying U.S. Supreme, gave him the Washington State Supreme Court case Kovacs, which is the best case for custody in Washington that every father should know. I asked the dad, I said, well, how many times has that attorney gotten a dad custody? He said 0. I was like, how do you know? He goes, because I asked him. I said, have you ever gotten a dad custody? He said, no, never. And that attorney is talking shit about me, and I stopped counting at 300. 300. The number of dads that got full custody with my help. Some of them had attorneys, most of them didn't. Some of them got the mother to settle, some of them won by default, and some of them went to their own full-blown trials. This attorney helped 0 dads get custody, and this attorney told the dad eventually to just settle, and he was a punk-ass bitch who didn't want to take him to trial. And these guys are hating on me. Why is he hating on me? Because I showed him what the Supreme Court of the state said, and he slid it in front of him, and it's a case that attorney should have known, and because the attorney felt stupid, he shit on me and attacked me and didn't even pay attention to what the case said. Isn't that insane? Like, if I hand something to an electrician about the blueprints or how to wire the lighting in a garage and make sure you don't cross it with other wires and create a fire hazard, if I hand it to somebody who's an apprentice and is working with a guy and he thinks he wired it wrong, and I hand the code over to him and he hands it to the lead guy, and the lead guy said, who gave that to you? Oh, my friend James. James doesn't know shit about being an electrician. I'm handing him the code that's made by the authorities. That would be stupid, right? That's how stupid these idiots are. It's insane. Anyway, I've been on here for a couple hours. I didn't intend to be that long, but God, these trolls are pathetic. You guys aren't even funny. It's like 8th grade level bullshit. It's probably 8th graders anyway, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so I think I answered some of the good main questions. If you're lost, get a consult. If you only know half of what you need to know, get a consult. If you know that you don't know everything you need to know, or you don't know the strategy that's coming up with your attorney, get a consult with me.